All right, folks, we're going to get started here. Everybody take their seats. Very packed house. Welcome to the show. My name is Jeremiah Ellison, and this is the regular meeting of the Business, Housing, and Zoning Committee for July 9th, 2024. You'll notice I'm not the regular chair. Councilmember Osman is out of town, and so I'll be taking over as the chair, as the typical vice chair of the committee. So at this time, I'll ask the clerks to call the roll to verify the presence of a quorum.
Councilmember Rainville.
Present.
Cashman.
Present.
Jenkins.
Present.
Chowdhury is absent. Chair Ellison.
Here.
There are 4 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. Today's agenda is before us, and we will start with the consent agenda, which starts at item number 13. And so, item 13 is 9 liquor license approvals. 14 is 22 liquor license renewals. 15 is accepting a $20,000 grant from the city's Financial Empowerment Fund to support Step Up summer programming. 16 is a resolution approving the Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority to provide financial assistance to a number of affordable housing projects and programs. 17 is referring to staff the subject matter of an ordinance streamlining the review of non-residential to residential building conversions. And 18 is setting a public hearing for July 23 to consider an ordinance amending Title 12, Chapter 244, Article XP1, I don't know what number that is, I don't read Roman numerals like that, of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances related to Housing Maintenance Code, adding provisions related to mandatory disclosure of rental rights information. Are there any questions from my colleagues regarding the consent agenda? Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I just want to comment briefly on item 16, the Hennepin County Housing Funding. If there's anybody from Hennepin County here, thank you for doing that. If there is no one, if our staff could just pass on the note of gratitude. In looking at the addresses, I see a lot of those are in Ward 5 and Ward 4, and those parts of town need the help. So thank you very much. And then on 17, I have to, maybe Councilmember Cashman want to say a few words as well, but we're both working on this together to make sure that we manage this change from office building conversion into housing, especially affordable housing, workforce housing. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments on the consent agenda? All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda is, all those opposed say nay. No nays. The consent agenda is approved, and I will acknowledge Councilmember Chowdhury is here as well. So we are at 5 members of the committee. Next, we have 12 hearings. The first is an application for DP Doe for an extended hours of operation license. I'll ask Ben Zeno from Business Licensing to give us a presentation.
Hello. Thank you, Chair Ellison and committee members. I'm Licensed Inspector Zinnel with Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Chainsuk Enterprise LLC, doing business as DB Doe, located at 1501 University Avenue Southeast in Ward 2. Current license is a restaurant license. The applicant is requesting an extended hours license. DP Doe has been operating at this location since 2015. Recently, there was a change in ownership. There's no change in the entertainment they are offering. It is a quick service calzone restaurant in Minneapolis. They are located in the commercial district inside a multi-tenant building adjacent to the University of Minnesota in Dinkytown. There is seating capacity of 35, and all the seating is indoors. They are requesting to be open Sunday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 1 a.m., Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m., and Friday, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. And these are the same hours the previous owner had as well. On June 17th, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Prospect Park Neighborhood Association, the Dinkytown Business Association, and Councilmember Wansley. We have received no comment from the community. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating conditions came back with no issues. There were no other significant issues concerning the business or issuance of the license. The License and Consumer Service Division recommends approval of an extended hours license for DB Doe. This concludes my presentation at this time, and I will stand for comments or questions. Thank you.
Mr. Zanell, thank you very much. I'll see if there are any questions from colleagues. It does not appear that there are any questions, so I will proceed to opening the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Any representatives from this entity? Ms. DB Doe? Oh, great.
Hi.
Get to the mic, please. Welcome.
Hi. Me and my father are the new owners of DP Doe. Concerning the licensing, it's the same operating hours that the previous owner had, and we haven't changed anything aside from a cosmetic lift to the interior of the building. We intend to continue the same day-to-day operations. We don't intend to change anything or cause any trouble, and we hope you guys do approve the license.
Great. Well, thank you guys for being here, and congratulations on buying this business, and good luck to you in operating it. I will close the public hearing, and I will move approval of item number 1. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And that item is approved. Thank you very much. All right. Our next item is a public hearing for Barcelona Wine Bar for an on-sale liquor general entertainment with Sunday sales and 2 a.m. license. I'll ask Amy Lingo from Business Licensing to give us a presentation.
Thank you, Chair Ellison and committee members. I'm Amy Lingo, Manager of Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Barcelona, Minneapolis, LLC, DBA as Barcelona Wine Bar, located at 508 Washington Avenue North in Ward 3. The applicant is requesting an on-sale liquor general entertainment Sunday sales license with 2 a.m. If approved, Barcelona Wine Bar intends to operate a Spanish-inspired restaurant and bar with a full food menu, tapas, cocktails, wine and beer, with a seating of 168. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily. They have the 168 seats are interior only. On June 12th, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the North Loop Neighborhood Association, the Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received no comments from the community. There is currently no business operating there. There are no 311s or police calls attributable to this business or this address. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale liquor, general entertainment, Sunday sales, and 2 a.m. license for Barcelona Wine Bar. This continues my presentation, and I stand at this time for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lingo. I'll see if there are any questions from my colleagues. Not seeing any so far. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and I have a Daniel Christians here to speak. I'll welcome you up. And then we have Bruce Payne also, so you guys can stand in queue there. Welcome.
Thank you, council members. He said Daniel Christians, counsel for Barcelona Wine Bar, Bruce Payne, general manager. We just wanted to express thanks to the City of Minneapolis, Ms. Lingo, the council. I know on behalf of the applicant, they're very excited to be part of the business community. North Loop neighborhood, they've met with, received support from the North Loop Neighborhood Association. And again, just excited to be part of the growth of the North Loop, continued growth, and Minneapolis as a whole.
Great. Anything else? All right. I will now close the public hearing, and I'll call on Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Chair Ellison, and thank you for investing in the North Loop. You can go ahead and sit down, but just thank you, and I really appreciate you working with the North Loop neighborhood. That's very important to me. What the neighborhood group has for input matters a lot, and you've gone the extra mile to do that, so thank you very much. And with that, I'll move approval of this item.
That item has been moved for approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. And that item is approved. Thank you guys so much for your work and for being here. All right. So, public hearing number 3. Our next item is a public hearing for Modern Well for a rental hall license. I'll ask Craig Eliason from Business Licensing to give us a presentation.
Thank you, Chair Ellison, committee members. I am District Supervisor Craig Eliason with Licenses and Consumer Services. And I'm presenting an application today from Modern Well LLC, doing business as Modern Well, located at 2909 South Wayzata Boulevard in Ward 7. The applicant is requesting a rental hall license with the hours of operation being Monday through Thursday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Friday 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. If approved, they intend to provide a space to host events. On July 1st, 2024, 26 public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Bryn Mawr Neighborhood Association and Councilmember Cashman. We have received one response from the community citing concerns with noise, parking, and hours of operation. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating condition shows one complaint received 1 year ago. There have been no other issues since then. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of a rental hall license for Modern Well. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eliason. I'll see if there are any questions from my colleagues, and there don't appear to be any. And so I will proceed to open the public hearing. And I have a number of names here. They all seem to be from Modern Well, so I'll invite Julie Burton, Laney Bassa, let me know if I can pronounce that incorrectly, and then Jennifer Gilhoy.
Thank you, committee members. So Modern Well serves.
Name for the record, please.
Oh, sorry, Julie. I'm Julie Burton, CEO, founder of Modern Well.
Thank you.
We serve as a hub for thousands of women-led Minnesota businesses, creatives, and change makers who are growing their nonprofit and for-profit businesses and organizations. Furthermore, Modern Well hosts small gatherings for members of the Somali, Asian, Jewish, Haitian, Muslim, Black, LGBTQ plus communities, as they know they'll be fully welcomed and celebrated in our space. The Modern Well rental hall license will serve as an extension of the already existing Modern Well business and will be in alignment with Modern Well's mission to empower women and people, both personally and professionally, promote racial health and equity, reduce bias, and bolster and celebrate innovation, community, creativity, and economic growth in Minneapolis. The Modern Well rental hall will focus on author signings, networking events, business launches, and seminars to meet the needs of the Modern Well members and Minneapolis community members. We will be discerning about what types of events and the frequency of events that will be held in our space. We fully understand that our space is zoned for commercial and residential use, and it's important to be respectful and aware of our neighbors' needs and concerns. I've spoken with many of our neighbors, assuring them we will follow the city guidelines, and we have partnered with 2 commercial properties to allow for more parking spaces, so we will not be clogging up the streets. We are hopeful and excited about this opportunity to be a community gathering space for Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, councilors. My name is Laney Bassa, and I am the owner of and founder of the BWC, the Business Women's Circle. My business actually works with the true small businesses that exist here in the Twin Cities. We help women business owners grow their businesses into $1 million plus, and that also enriches the economic environment of the Twin Cities. And because of many of these businesses have a social mission attached to what they do, they also help contribute to the community in other ways as well. As a woman-owned small business, I rely on others who understand my mission to help women business owners and the need to contribute back to the community. So I seek businesses that do the same, and Modern Well is one of those. Modern Well has created a unique and vital space for the diverse entrepreneur community. They provide resources, education, and community to those that use their services. Their business model allows small businesses to find a unique space that they can use to do business in, as well as offer their services to the community. And that is not easily found elsewhere. Believe me, I've looked. So again, Modern Well has allowed me, as a business owner, to host events that have helped me to grow my business, offer education to the community, connect entrepreneurs throughout the metro area, hold events that help the nonprofit entities in the Twin Cities, and celebrate the wins of the small businesses we serve, and more. Without those opportunities, my business and others could lose in many ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Gilhoy, and I'm a small business owner, marketing, communication, and events planner. I've been a member at Modern Well since day one, 6.5 years ago, and it has personally transformed my business. And the events that are held there are the connectivity. They're the glue of the entrepreneurial community. And I love coexisting in an urban environment where we can bring livelihood to the neighborhood, with respectful members. Our community is very respectful of where we're at, and all of the tenants. Our events are business-oriented and very respectful. And again, I appreciate your attention to this and continue to want to see Modern Well thrive, and that's why I'm here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, seeing no one else here to speak on this item, I will close the public hearing and I will call on Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Ellison, and I just want to thank the applicant and all three of you for coming here today to speak and really just give life to, the meaning of your project and the event space, and want to thank you for your investment in Bryn Mawr neighborhood to have another community gathering space with your approval of the event hall license. So I'll move approval of this item today.
Great. Approval for that item has been moved. And then we have Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I was just curious, is Modern Well a co-working space?
Yes.
It is. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. This item has been moved for approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and that item is approved. Thank you all for being here today. Our next item is item number 4 is a public hearing for Ava for an on-sale liquor general entertainment with Sunday sales and 2 a.m. license. I'll ask Mohammed Osman from Business Licensing to give us a presentation on this item. Welcome.
Thank you. Chair Ellison and committee members, I am Inspector Mohammed Osman of Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from Jinx Minneapolis, LLC, doing business as Ava, located at 124 3rd Avenue North, Suite 100 in Ward 3. Currently, they hold an on-sale liquor Sunday sales with limited entertainment license. The applicant is requesting an upgrade to general entertainment. Ava has been operating at this location since June 2024. Ava has always intended to operate as a general entertainment establishment. Ava opted for a limited entertainment license to expedite the opening of the business. Ava is a creation of Benad Tahiri, a Minneapolis resident for 30 years and industry veteran, along with Tony Sane and their business partners. Proudly located in the North Loop District, Ava is a gathering hub for the neighborhood where sophistication meets relaxation, featuring an aesthetic of casual comfort mixed with elegant finishes which highlight the building's natural beauty and history. Ava's ambiance, entertainment, menu, and cocktail list has been thoughtfully curated to celebrate and invite the diversity the neighborhood holds. On June 17th, 2024, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premise. Notices were also sent to the North Loop Neighborhood Association, Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville's office. We have received 1 letter of reservation from the Neighborhood Association, and we have received no positive or negative comments from the community. A review of 301 calls, police calls, show no significant issues concerning the business or issuance of this license. The License and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an upgrade to general entertainment license for Ava. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't think we have any questions. I'll take a second glance. No questions from my colleagues. Thank you so much. And so for this item, because it was public noticed, I have to open the public hearing, so I will do that. But I also know that Councilmember Rainville is interested in talking with this applicant here, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and then I'll ask the clerks to let me know if I'm doing this correctly. I'm going to move to continue it to the next meeting.
Council member, you need to open the public hearing and allow anyone who signed up to speak first.
Got it. Well, then we will just have a public hearing, regular old public hearing. All right, so we've got 2 people here to speak. One is Benad Tahiri, so I'll invite you up.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Benat Tahiri. I am the owner and operator of Ava, amongst with my partners, Tony Santa and a few others. I used to own a business in North Loop back in the 2012 all the way until 2017. We sold it, and I've been looking forward to being back and part of the community and being in North Loop. And I'm happy to be in front of you. I hope that you approve, Mike.
Great, thank you very much. Tony Sannell?
I think he's here. Yeah.
Hello, thank you, council members, for allowing us to speak. I grew up on the other side of the river, but throughout my philanthropic efforts, we've been large partners with the city of Minneapolis. We run free camps for 4,000 kids. We do food distributions that the city calls us on, and at this point, all my personal investments have been in St. Paul in real estate and stuff. And when I was a soccer player in Germany, I owned a bar, and one time when I was back in Minneapolis as a black man, there was still struggles, and this young man saw me 8 years ago standing in line somewhere and was nice to me, and we became friends. And ever since then, we had a lifelong goal of doing business together that even today we are hosting a happy hour for nonprofit leaders and professionals of color. So we have a place where people my age, I'm over 50 now, can go and network. And I hope that we've done enough in the community that there is belief that we are that we're adding to the community and not taking back from it, and that there's a place where people that look like us can go and thrive, I guess.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Great, thank you. So I will then continue this to the next cycle. I'll ask the clerks for a direction here.
You can make a motion to continue.
Great.
You want it to continue for 2 cycles?
Just one cycle. And it's to
July 23rd.
To July 23rd. Okay, great. We're gonna take the item up. I'm wishing you guys well in your endeavor here, but I also know that Councilmember Rainville and the Neighborhood Association have some further discussion that they'd like to engage with you all on before an approval of this license happens. And so the delay in cycle is to allow some space for that to happen. I'll see if Councilmember Rainville wants to add to those comments, but I think you all being in touch with Councilmember Rainville after this meeting, I think is a good idea, and hopefully getting connected with the Neighborhood Association as well. Any additional comments, Councilmember?
No, thank you. And again, I know, Tony, we had talked about getting together and it never happened. So let's Ben and Tony, let's talk with the police department and take a look at your security plan and address these neighborhood concerns. Thank you.
Great. So I will move. Oh, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I just want to get an understanding of what will an upgrade to a general entertainment entail? Is that live music? Is it?
I'll have Ms. Lingo answer that.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. Councilmember Jenkins. An upgrade from a limited entertainment to general entertainment, really the only difference is the allowance of a dance floor. Limited entertainment can already have live musicians, DJs, and the like. The only true difference is a dance floor.
Thank you. Okay.
Great, then I will. Okay, great. Then I will move to this one cycle to July
23rd.
July 23rd, and we will take up this matter then. All those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, and that item is forwarded to July 23rd meeting. Thank you all for being here. Our next item is a public hearing for Peppermint Hippo for an on-sale liquor adult entertainment with Sunday sales, 2 a.m., and special late-night food license with business license operating conditions. I'll ask Ms. Lingo to give us the presentation.
Thank you, Chair Ellison and committee members. I'm once again Amy Lingo, Manager for Licenses and Consumer Services. I'm presenting an application from 3rd Avenue Foods, LLC, DBA as Peppermint Hippo, located at 251 3rd Avenue South, Suite 103 in Ward 3. The applicant is requesting an on-sale liquor adult entertainment Sunday sales 2 a.m. special late-night food license. If approved, Peppermint Hippo intends to operate an adult entertainment club serving food and beverages. The interior will have a seating for 100 patrons and outdoor seating for 28 patrons on a private patio, but only speakers playing low background music. No live entertainment will be outside. The hours of operation on the interior are 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. The exterior hours are 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. Again, the interior seating is 100, outdoor seating is 28, and it is a private roof patio. On June 20th, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 450 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association, the Warehouse District Business Association, and Councilmember Rainville. We have received one comment from the community, and their concerns are related to safety and responsible operations of the business. There is currently no business operating there, so there are no 311s or police calls attributable to the business at this address. Licenses and Consumer Services recommends approval of an on-sale liquor, entertainment, Sunday sales, 2 a.m. special late-night food license for the Peppermint Hippo. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions.
Great. I will see if there are any questions from my colleagues. So far, no questions. And so I will now open the public hearing. I believe I have Alan Cheney here to speak to this item.
Hi, my name's Alan Chang, owner of Peppermint Hippo. Here to answer any questions that you may have and be part of the community.
No questions from the council. We'll just, but if you have any, if you want to tell us a little bit about the business or address any maybe concerns brought up in the report, but you also don't have to. Just anything you want to say.
So it's my turn here.
Great.
Chair Ellison, committee members, thank you. Jeffrey O'Brien, attorney for the applicant.
Great.
So as far as any concerns here, I have a former private investigator as far as an FBI agent that works for us fully. He handles all our security concerns. Any other issues, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Great. Well, thank you guys very much. I've got no questions up here from the committee. So thank you guys for coming, and you may have a seat. Oh, Councilmember Jenkins, sorry.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. Is this related to another business, the Spearmint Rhino or something like that?
I used to work for them, but no, we're not related to that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are they still doing business?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, all right.
We're going to start like a naming convention. Anyway. I'll call on Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I will move approval of this item, but Alan, I would like to have a cup of coffee with you some afternoon. You know, the 3 a.m. closing, we're really stretched thin at night with our police, and it seems like nothing good ever happens after midnight. So I would really enjoy getting to know you better and understanding your business model, especially that late night closing. And your attorney is more than welcome to attend as well.
All right. We have a motion for approval, and I will, all those in favor of approving this item, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. And that item is approved. Thank you guys for doing business in the city, and good luck. And I'm sure you guys will follow up with Councilmember Rainville as well. So, all right. Moving on. Our next item is a public hearing for Adi's Cafe for an on-sale wine limited entertainment with strong beer license, and we'll welcome Mr. Eliason back.
Thank you, Chair Ellison, committee members. Again, I'm Craig Eliason, District Supervisor with Licenses and Consumer Services, and I'm here today to present an application from Abby's Cafe, Inc., doing business as Abby's Cafe, located at 2828 Lindale Avenue South in Ward 10. Abby's Cafe currently holds a restaurant license and has been operating at this location since January of 2021. The applicant is requesting an on-sale wine with strong beer limited entertainment license. The premises consists of 4,459 square feet with 123 seats for patrons with no outdoor area. They intend to offer limited entertainment, including literary readings and karaoke. Their hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. daily and will offer a limited menu after midnight. On June 21st, 2024, 229 public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 600 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Lowry Hill East Neighborhood Association, the Lynn Lake Business Association, and Councilmember Chugtai. We have received no comments from the community. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating conditions shows no significant issues concerning the business or issuance of this license. The Licenses and Consumer Services Division recommends approval of an on-sale wine with strong beer limited entertainment license for Abby's Cafe. This concludes my presentation. At this time, I will stand for any comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we've got one question from Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I was just wondering if you could share what the history of licenses is for the business and what they currently have. Just seeing, their operations, and I've certainly had food there before, and it's been great. And I know they have a food truck. So have they had a liquor license in the past, or what's new and what's existing here?
To my knowledge, they have not held a liquor license. At this location, they've had a restaurant license, which is food only, no alcohol, and they've been operating at this location since January of 2021. And so they're simply upgrading. They wish to provide on-sale wine and beer now with their meals.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? Not seeing any questions at the moment. I will go ahead and open this public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Chair Ellison, we do not.
Is the applicant here by chance? Abby's Cafe? She is, but she's on the other side. Okay. Got 2 minutes if we're in the overflow room? Okay. I'll give her a minute to. Perfect. Thank you for the heads up.
Hello,
Welcome.
Council members. Hi.
So just 2 minutes to tell us, anything you want us to know about the business, yeah.
Well, Abby's has been operating since 2015. 2015, yep.
Oh, can you get a little more into the mic? Thank you.
On East Lake Street. We closed that location, and then now we're up in Uptown Minneapolis.
Oh, and can I get your name for the record? Sorry.
Cecia Baides.
Perfect.
And
Thank
then
you.
mine's Maritza Perez.
Great.
So she's opened in 2015 around April. We were there since until COVID hit us, the civil unrest hit us, and then we got an opportunity to go to Uptown, and that's the reason we transferred to Uptown. But since then, we did have a food truck for a while. We've been operating only food, but it's only until now we've been able to finally be able to get the wine and the strong beer. But we will eventually go into the future to get the full liquor license and general entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. I don't see any other further comments. And so you guys can take a seat, but thank you guys for being here. I will call on Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I just wanted to congratulate you on this next step. This building that you're working in particular used to have the Egg and I, and it was a family favorite. So I'm really excited to see your new business in there and to be growing. So I'll move approval of this item today.
Great. This item has been moved for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right. Congratulations, you all. Thank you. Our next two items are public hearings for two Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers locations for extended hours of operation licenses. We're going to take these two items together, and I'll ask Mr. Zinnel to give us the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Allison and committee members. Again, I'm Licensed Inspector Zinnel with Licenses and Consumer Services. I am presenting an application from Raising Cane's Restaurants, LLC, doing business as Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. And they are located at 302 15th Avenue Southeast and 825 Washington Avenue Southeast in Ward 2. Current license is a restaurant license. The applicant is requesting an extended hours license. Raising Cane's has been operating at these locations since 2017 and 2007. Recently, there was a change in ownership from a franchisee back to corporate. So corporate is out of Texas, but we do have quite a bit of the local people, including the on-site managers present here today. There's no change in the entertainment they're offering, and this is a quick service restaurant. As you can probably guess, they sell chicken fingers. And they have 3 locations now in Minneapolis, and they're all owned by corporate. They are both located in commercial districts inside multi-tenant buildings. There is seating capacity for 42 at Dinkytown location and 111 for the Stadium Village location. All the seating is now indoors at both locations. And for the hours they are requesting for when school is in, the college is in session, 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. daily. And when college is not in session, Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to midnight. On June 17th, public hearing notices were sent to property owners within 300 feet of the premises. Notices were also sent to the Prospect Park Neighborhood Association, the Dinkytown Business Association, and Councilmember Wansley. We've received no comments from the community or organizations. A review of any complaints, 311 calls, police calls, and operating conditions came back with no issues, and there were no other significant issues concerning the business or issuance of the license. The Licenses and Consumer Service Division recommends approval of an extended hours license for Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. This concludes my presentation at this time, and I will stand for any comments or questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And we've been joined by Councilmember Wansley, who I'm assuming is here because of Raising Cane's. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I will open the public hearing, and I've got looks like Nate and Corey. Okay, great. You guys are welcome to take 2 minutes each. You also don't have to, but whatever you want to say. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, council members, for having us today. My name is Corey Blaschko. I am the restaurant leader at our Stadium Village location.
Hi, my name's Nate Eckerling. I'm the restaurant manager at a Dinkytown location.
Right.
We currently, as you've just heard, we are a franchise location, or both of our locations were franchise, and we were just merged with Raising Cane's USA. We're not looking to change anything that we were previously doing. Currently at our Stadium Village location, we're open till midnight Friday and Saturday, and then 11 o'clock Sunday through Thursday. We do plan to keep those similar hours, but I believe Raising Cane's corporate wanted to get the extended hours license with the option of moving that later in the future. Currently at our Dinkytown location, we're open until 11 p.m. Sunday through Wednesday during the school year. On Thursdays, we are hoping to stay open until 2 a.m., so an extra hour than we're able to. And then Friday and Saturday at 3 a.m. And these are both similar hours that we've done for the past 3 or 4 years now, outside of the COVID years, of course. But not looking to change or anything other than what we've currently been doing, is just new ownership. So just looking to do the same thing.
Great.
And in addition, I remember hearing you said that it was applied for 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day. I just wanted to clarify that it is Thursday through Saturday that is 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. and Sunday through Wednesday is 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Well, thank you both. You guys can have a seat, but thank you guys for being here. Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? All right, I will close the public hearing. I'm glad staff's, recommending approval, because I got some young people in my life who would be very upset if I did not approve this, and so I'm happy to move approval of items 7 and 8. All those in favor? Oh, Councilmember Jenkins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Ellison. I just wanted to comment, and I think the previous applicant who just asked for was granted extended hours to 3 a.m. But, I think that staggered closing times for some of these entertainment options are a really great strategy for improving safety downtown, as well as having late night food options for folks as well. Tends to help keep things safer. And so I'm just happy for these applicants who are bringing forth these proposals for late night options. and happy to support it. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I just wanted staff to clarify the extended hours from Thursday to Saturday. Is that just during the school year or is it year round?
Again, the information I got was from corporate, which is in Texas, and they wanted that ability to stay open daily, 10 a.m. to 3 a.m., but the store managers will have ultimate decisions, and it does not sound like it'll be daily till 3 a.m., just more on the weekends.
Okay, but year round, that's potential expectation, because there was a mention of
They wanted
school
it-
year.
Yeah, they wanted it during school year till 3 a.m. is what corporate
Okay.
advised.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll just want to make a quick comment as a gopher that spent a lot of time at Raising Cane's and has sister on campus. Thank you for making sure that our students are adequately fed in hours where they need protein for sure.
Great. So thoroughly endorsed up here on this dais. I've made the motion to approve these items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. And those items are approved. Thank you guys for being here. All right. So our next item is a public hearing for the vacant building registration ordinance. I'll ask Brian Starry from Regulatory Services to give us a presentation. Mr. Starry, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Ellison and council members.
Oh, the presentation's kind of got an odd look to it. Is there any way we can get it all the way full screen? We're sending the big guns over.
Go, I'm sorry. Go to slideshow. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Ellison and council members. My name is Brian Starry. I'm the Field Operations Manager with Reg Services. I oversee the city's vacant building registration program, and I'm here today to discuss proposed modifications to Chapter 249. Maybe. There we go. So as we begin, I would like to discuss and just overall refer to the current requirements to be placed into the city's vacant building registration program. And they are as follows. A building would need to be condemned, requiring a code compliance, an unoccupied structure, and an unsecured structure for 5 days or more, an unoccupied and boarded building for a minimum of 30 days, an unoccupied building with 2 or more housing, fire, or building code violations in existence for 30 days or more, and an unoccupied building for 365 days where nuisance orders were issued and needed to be corrected. The other thing that would qualify a building for the vacant building registration program is a building that is unable to receive a certificate of occupancy due to work stoppage or expired permits. Currently, there is no time limit on how long a property can remain in the vacant building registration program. The hope is to limit the impact on the neighbors living next to or near these vacant properties and shorten the duration of time that properties remain vacant. Vacant properties are at an increased risk for trespass, fire, and are subject to further structural decline. Other economic impacts include diminished resale values and additional costs through nuisance abatement, securement via boarding, and sometimes demolition. And here's a map showing the locations of the current vacant building registration, and then they're color-coded and identified by longevity in the vacant building registration program. The ordinance amendment language, amending Title 12 of Chapter 249 would allow us to remove properties off of the vacant building registration list and continue enforcement of unabated code violations through our administrative citation process instead of the annual vacant building registration fee. The Director of Regulatory Services may grant an extension for up to 1 year to allow property owners the opportunity to rehabilitate these structures in order for them to be reoccupied and brought back into compliance. There are currently 189 properties that have been in the vacant building registry for more than 2 years that would be impacted by the administrative citation process with this ordinance change. Upon implementation of this action, the owner will be notified in writing of qualifying for the alternative enforcement strategy process and information on the citation amounts for noncompliance. The property owner shall grant full access to the interior of the building for evaluation to see if the property meets criteria for demolition or if rehab is the best course of action. All citations, rehabilitation, or demolition expenses incurred throughout this process shall be the sole responsibility of the owner. And here's just a sample of the letter that would be sent to the properties that would be under this new ordinance. If a property remains in the vacant building registration period for a period of 2 years and the owner has not corrected the qualifying conditions, it will be removed from the program and become subject to the administrative enforcement and hearing process. This includes citations and fines up to $2,000 per month being issued to the property owner. We will be notifying property owners of this change in writing and asking them to contact us to discuss their plan. The strategy will be to start with properties that have been non-compliant for 25 months or more with no permit history and no proactive actions taken by the owner. We will start the alternative enforcement process beginning on the second anniversary date of the property entering the vacant building registration program. This will ensure that we do not have overlap on the traditional VBR billing versus the administrative citation enforcement strategy. New properties entering the vacant building registry will be notified by mail of the ordinance change and the time restrictions limiting their time in the program to 2 years. This letter will include information describing the alternative enforcement process beginning at the 25th month mark, as well as their ability to enter into a restoration agreement and their obligation related to code compliance if the property has been condemned. There is also an opportunity for properties that are undergoing or actively undergoing current rehab and remain in the vacant building registration program. So if we have properties that are in that second year that are actively working on them, they have an opportunity to enter into a 1 year extension that would be granted by the director. They would continue to pay the annual vacant building registration fee of the $7,087 and would not be subjected to the citation process until the end of the extension period. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. I'll see quickly if we have any, I know we'll have discussion afterwards, but I'll see if there's any initial questions from colleagues. No, thank you on the presentation. And I will move to open the public hearing. And so first up I have Lisa Nording.
That's me.
Great. State your name and for the record, and then you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Lisa Norling. I live in the 2nd Ward in the Prospect Park neighborhood of southeast Minneapolis, and I very strongly favor the the proposed amendment to the ordinance. So I appreciate Councilmember Wansley, who's my council member, and Ellison for proposing it. I speak in general because I think it's terrible for the city and for people who need housing and businesses that need locations. I think it's terrible to have empty buildings sit there for a long period of time. I also speak very specifically because I live next door to one of those buildings, and it is literally 26 feet from our house, and it's a frame wooden building, and our house is a frame wooden building. It's been vacant for over a decade, over 10 years. My husband and I do have a key to the house, which we were left by the owner. We are in sporadic contact with the owner, who currently, at least as far as I know, lives in Cincinnati caring for her aging parents. She was already a vacant landlord because it's a duplex. She lived in one, and a renter lived in the other one up until 2014 when the renter moved out. And I get in touch with her about every other year, and we have offered to buy the house. Right now, it is falling apart. Bricks were falling from the chimney onto our property. A big limb of, there's a big, massive old oak tree in that 26 feet span between our house and her house. And a branch fell off it and stripped off one of our gutters and clipped our roof that needed repairing. She was very responsive to that. So when we write her with a problem, is that my 2 minutes is up? Man, I could go on. There's many stories, but there are no human beings in there. But there are lots and lots and lots of squirrels and rats and opossum, raccoons, birds, mice, and I have made eye contact with many of them. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So,
and if you do have further comments, you can submit them online. I can have the clerk get in touch with you. But no, we really appreciate your testimony.
So I would love there to be some time limit on this. Because I think she's not in a condition to do anything about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. I will now call on Daniel Suter.
Can you hear me all right? Hi there. My name is Daniel Suter. I live in South Minneapolis, Ward 8. I really want to thank Councilmember Wansley for pushing this forward. This is just a really practical, common sense solution to a really common problem. There's a lot of different ways a vacant building manifests, but a really common one is the one Ms. Norland just mentioned, is the out-of-state absentee owner. I live across from a vacant building on Columbus Avenue in Ward 8. It has been empty for about a decade. It's owned by an LLC that was originally based in Georgia. They moved it here at some point, I think after I wrote an op-ed in the Star Tribune about it. And the problem is that the current fine system provides no incentive to change anything. $7,000 or $8,000 a year, if my property taxes say anything, the property is appreciating more than that per year, much more. So, getting those fines and that progressive enforcement up, it's a real carrot and stick situation. And there's a lot of options in this law that are really designed for compliant owners who are doing their best. Sometimes things happen to property. And if you're a responsible owner with the proper resources, you take the time, you get it to code, it might be vacant for a while, but there's options under this law. And what this law is really designed to do is to get out of control properties that no one is paying attention to under control. My day job is as a tenants' rights attorney, and the people of the city are under incredible stress for housing. We hear a lot about how housing has been added, but we need housing stock across all different types, especially in like North and South Minneapolis, outside of major dense corridors where a lot of these are single-family homes. And making sure these single-family homes get back, or duplexes get added back into the housing stock, would be a huge relief for people already under a lot of pressure to find housing, afford housing, and keep housing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And lastly, at least on my list, but I'll give an opportunity for more folks to speak, we have Taylor Dalene.
Hi, my name is Taylor Dalene, and I live in Ward 7 in Loring Park. I support the vacant buildings registration because we need more tools to handle this issue. I live down the street from a vacant building that had 2 separate fires in September 2022 before it was eventually fully secured. And the owner of these buildings, C. David George, has multiple other vacant buildings just like this around the city. It leaves over 200 units vacant in a housing crisis, and these are all 100-year older buildings that are typically way more affordable than anything new. Another vacant building of his in Ward 10 burned down fully in December 2022, and because he was refusing to pay to clear the rubble, it was left sitting in the lot on, I believe it was 25th and Lyndale, for almost an entire year. So as things stand now, there just doesn't seem to be any way to fix the issue of these vacant buildings. And this is just one example through this one landlord that I've kind of been following over since September 2022. And like, these properties do just attract crime, and they don't do anything to help the community. I've been woken up at midnight the past 5 or 6 nights in a row from people who go to this building of his in Loring Park specifically to shoot off fireworks. Every morning I go and I clean up the garbage that's left out there, and they know they can do that because these buildings are vacant, and he in particular is basically doing nothing. And I'm not sure if there's any way to incentivize him to finally do something, but I feel like this ordinance is a really great step, so I'm asking that you please support it so that we can get more housing as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. That's the end of the folks who have signed up, but I'll see if there's anyone else who wants to speak to this item. Is there anyone else? All right, seeing no one else looking to speak to this item, I will close the public hearing. I will see if Councilmember Wansley wants to give any remarks to this ordinance.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. First, thank you to staff for the presentation and for working with my office, as well as Councilmember Ellison, on the change that we're proposing in this ordinance. As many of the testifiers basically shared, reducing the number of vacant properties in the city is a high priority for so many of our residents, and it's been an issue that's been repeatedly shared with my office in terms of our residents experiencing the frustration that we heard even today about the impacts of having vacant properties in their neighborhoods, especially in light of us experiencing a housing crisis. When we see vacant apartments or vacant single-family homes, our residents know that those are homes that could be used by families or individuals who are in desperate need of housing and shelter. When you walk past an empty storefront, many residents know immediately that that could be a space used by an up-and-coming small business owner who are looking to add economic quality to our various communities. So we know when a property is hazardous or if it's condemned. Some folks have also shared this too, of the negative impacts that it doesn't just have on economic development, but it also has an impact on the overall public health of a community, on public safety, also on property values of that surrounding area. And the VBR program is just one tool that can offer property owners, many property owners, as we saw from the presentation, the resources to support, to convert their hazardous properties into active assets in the community. But there are still too many condemned or boarded properties that are hurting our neighborhoods, and I want to cite the racial equitable impact of this. We know many of these properties are in Black, brown, and working class neighborhoods. So this is a tool that would desperately help us reach some of our racial and economic goals as a city. So I am confident that this ordinance will at least address a piece of that. It will address these chronic vacancies that can then lead us to have more housing, more commercial space, and hopefully fewer problematic hazardous properties in our neighborhoods across the city. This is just also one of several steps that I'm going to be taking to reduce vacancy across the city, and I look forward to continuing this work. Also, again, just want to reiterate my gratitude and thanks to my co-author, Councilmember Ellison, as well as staff, and to many community members who've organized for years around vacancy issues and who came to testify today. And with that, I will ask my colleagues to support the passage of this ordinance.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Wansley. I'll call on Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I have some comments, but I just had a few questions beforehand. I am interested in understanding a little bit more about the nature of this in relationship to commercial vacancies. We see throughout the city on some corridors, there's been vacant storefronts that say for lease like in perpetuity, wondering like how that showed up in the vacant building registry and how it would be impacted by this change.
Thank you, Chair, committee members. So the complexities with the commercial properties versus residential properties are obviously meant to do one thing, and that's to house people and for people to live in, where commercial buildings, there's more variables that come into play. I have only been involved with the monitoring and the managing of the commercial properties for a very brief period of time. And so I think that the reality with the implementation of this ordinance modification is going to be beneficial to have the commercial buildings pay these monthly citations for allowing their buildings to sit in their current condition, to get them to move forward with them one way or another, to get them either to sell them or to rehab them and to rehabilitate them for the intent that they were utilized and built for in the first place. And I think that this is something hopefully that we see success with, and especially with our residential areas and the people who are subjected to living next to these properties that have been vacant for a prolonged period of time. And when we have property owners who have and hang on to these buildings for whatever the reason is, we go in to do evaluations on these properties. So we get warrants to go in to do evaluations when the conditions of those properties don't meet criteria for demolition, and the property owners are paying their taxes and paying the fees, we're at a standstill. And so I think that with the modifications to this ordinance, it's going to be much more punitive for property owners of that mindset to sit and hold on to these properties for prolonged periods of time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Through the chair, just so I have a better understanding, this is the first time that I'm touching this ordinance. What are some of the examples of existing code violations that would lead to that $2,000 per month? Or is it per month or is it per incidence of non-compliance too?
Councilmember Chowdhury, it would be per month. Any code violation that would be in existence. So properties that are condemned, they would need to go through a full code compliance in order to be able to be reoccupied. So properties of that nature are going to be much more easier to deal with because they would require permits. Properties that have exterior housing maintenance code violations, fire code deficiencies that would require the use or the benefit to have the owners obtain permits. We can regulate those citations through the lack of the permits that need to be applied for and issued in order to make the corrections.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One more follow-up question. So like if there is like a commercial building that has been vacant for a long time, but it doesn't seem like there's maybe not a like substantial code violation, but the property owner is holding on to it, would this ordinance impact that building as well?
So my plan moving forward with commercial buildings that, let's just say that we have commercial buildings for all extensive purposes that don't have any visual exterior code violations, to get warrants, or if the owner is not allowing us access to the interior of that building, that's where I'll partner with my inspectors over in the fire department, fire inspection services, to go out and do evaluations of those properties and identify fire deficiencies and code violations that are in existence on the interior of those buildings as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to close by expressing my gratitude to Councilmember Wansley and Councilmember Ellison for authoring this ordinance. I think this is just a really, really great way for us to do something tangible that will impact the daily lives of residents within our city. Looking at the map, you can see that there's definitely a huge disparity in who's impacted by this, predominantly the north side, and then different pockets of the south side, but we see it throughout the entirety of the city of Minneapolis. I have definitely heard from many individuals about the not just the nuisance of a vacancy, but like the real life safety impacts that some of the folks that gave their testimony today, which thank you for doing it. And then also I've talked to local business owners who sit next to a vacant commercial property, and it's on a corridor, like Minnehaha Avenue, for example, and that vacancy really has a big impact on their business and the relationship to the neighborhood, because we want to see people be able to walk the block and have that connectivity. And being next to a vacancy, whether you are in a residential home or a business owner, it has negative impacts on you, and then the community definitely feels it. And then in our neighborhoods, when we see a vacant building filled with a new business or a new neighbor, it's really exciting. It means something new for the neighborhood. It means more connectivity to our city. So I'm just excited to support this, and I really appreciate our regulatory services staff for the work that they've done. Thank you for your thought behind this and just the forward-looking approach that you're having in terms of implementation.
Thank you. Calling Councilmember Cashman.
Thanks, Chair Ellison. I do have one question and some comments. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the expected revenue generation or fee recuperation that will come from the increasing costs.
So the way that I look at this would be if we have roughly 193 properties that would fall into this criteria. Once we start implementation with the administrative citation process, those administrative citations start out at a $250 value, and then every month that we go out, they double. So we start out at a $250, we go to a $500 the following month, the third month is $1,000, the fourth month is $2,000, the fifth month forward is then at $2,000 per time that we go out to do a site visit. So if you wanted to do the math on that, it would be 192 times 12 times ultimately $2,000 citations on a monthly basis.
Okay, so the amount of fee recuperation is expected to greatly increase and to help cover the costs of the program itself.
Yes.
Will it fully cover the cost of the program?
That I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, with any new process and policy, there's going to be some growing pains. And so we'll have to see how this works as we implement and move through and strategize on how we can make this process the best that it can be, and time will tell. But I think that with the way that we have it set up, we've been doing this work for quite a long time. The staff that work with me dealing with the vacant buildings from day to day, the majority of them have been doing this for 15 plus years. We have a lot of experience in construction and the backgrounds and things like that. So I'm excited about it. I think that we will have success with this program, and I'm hopeful that we shorten the time periods that people are being impacted negatively due to the illegal activities and the other things that are occurring at these properties, and get them back up and operational so we have a viable, strong community, and we have people living in these properties and they're being taken care of and maintained again.
Absolutely. Thank you for your work.
And I think CM Wansley has just a quick follow-up to that as well.
Yes, so I've had the joy of working on a number of fee-based proposals or ordinances, and in that have been able to work with our city attorneys and finance, and my understanding is any fee-based program that the city administers, it legally needs to be recouping at least 90% of its costs. So I do believe staff, with the support of our city attorneys and finance, we are looking at crafting a program that does exactly that. And I know right now finance is doing overall fee study assessments of all of our programs to make sure that we are legally doing what we need to be doing to reap that 90%. So I just wanted to say there is that thoughtfulness, and also litigation component of making sure we are crafting fees that does allow us to recoup at least as close to 100% of a cost of a program as possible, so that it could be self-sustaining.
Thank you. So just a couple of comments here. If you see from the map, Ward 7 doesn't have the highest concentration of properties on the VBR, but you heard from, constituent in Loring Park today that there are some very problematic properties in Ward 7, in Loring Park, in downtown, and even in Uptown. So I'm very much in favor of this ordinance change. I want to thank the authors for their work on this. And I want to share that I did a one-question survey in my biweekly newsletter last week to help guide some decision-making on this. And so the most recent question was about the ways in which these chronically vacant properties impact the quality of life in our community, and just wanted to read a few of the recurring themes that we saw in the responses. So one is a desire for the properties to better serve the community, either with housing or a pocket park or another type of gathering space. Number two, a desire for reduction in nuisance or other safety concerns like break-ins, fires, graffiti, trash buildup, really just a blight on the neighborhood, right? And then third is voicing the negative impact of both neighbors, but also visitors, especially in Loring Park and downtown. So an example was given of many vacant buildings near the convention center, which welcomes so many visitors to our city. So folks are not just concerned about their daily experience in their neighborhood, but also for everyone else who's coming to and visiting our city. So I think that this is a great step in helping get these buildings back up to compliance, and we'll be voting in support of the ordinance amendment.
Thank you so much. I will give a few quick comments before moving this for approval. Just wanted to thank staff for all of your work. When you have a vacant space in the neighborhood, and I don't have to explain this to any of you all, but it does create a little bit of a black hole, right? It creates a little bit of a mystery. It can attract all sorts of problems. And when you have a community, you have parcels that are activated, it does the exact opposite, right? In that connectivity, it creates safety, it creates buy-in, and it creates stability for that neighborhood, dignity among neighbors, better relationships among neighbors. And so, we're talking about a ripple effect. It can seem like a small thing, a single parcel that maybe is inactive, but it can have this ripple effect throughout a neighborhood that's extremely impactful. And Mr. Starry, I know that for any of us who have been on the council a long time, you might only make guest appearances here in the committee, but you have been steadfast in this work. You're one of the first names I was ever given. You run for office, try to solve these big systemic issues, and then you run smack dab into a problem property. It's like, okay, go talk to Brian Starry, go talk to his team. And so I just want to thank you for your work. I want to thank you for your collaboration with CPED and other departments to make sure that we can improve our tools, right? It's not that we haven't ever had tools, but we have to make new tools, vet them, and then improve upon them. And I think that's what we're doing here. And so this committee might have its main characters like Ms. Lingo, but when we get a guest appearance, it's always good. And so just also thank you to Councilmember Robin Wansley for your leadership on this, and I look forward to hopefully passing this. And that's all I wanted to say. So thank you again.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Councilmember.
Absolutely. With that, I will move approval of this item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, and that item is approved. And thank you to our folks who came and gave public comment as well. All right. Our next item is a quasi-judicial hearing regarding an appeal of the decision of the Zoning Board of Adjustment denying a variance to increase the maximum height for the detached garage accessory structure from 13 feet to 14 feet and 5/8 inches for the property located at 4421 Aldrich Avenue South. I'll ask Nicholas Owlett from CPED to give us a presentation.
Chair Ellison, members of the committee, I'm Nicholas Wett with the Zoning Administration Division of CPED. Before you today is an appeal of the decision of the Zoning Board of Adjustment denying a variance to increase the maximum height for a detached garage accessory structure from 13 feet to 14.3 feet on the property located at 4421 Aldrich Avenue South. The project is to construct a garage that exceeds the maximum height of 13 feet. Some background on this. The property is 5,220 1,003 square feet. It's an interior lot with an existing single-family dwelling and detached garage in the rear yard. The property is zoned Urban Neighborhood 1, and surrounding parcels are also zoned Urban Neighborhood 1 and Urban Neighborhood 2. The detached garage was designed, or the proposed detached garage was designed in the spring of 2023 when code permitted the maximum height for detached accessory structures to be increased to 20 feet, where the primary materials, trim, and eave projection match the principal structure, in addition to that not less than 5% of the upper level of a wall with a gable or dormer facing the street be windows. The zoning code changed in July of 2023 and eliminated this provision to allow increased height. And the applicant became aware of the zoning code changes when they submitted their building permits in August 2023, a month after the zoning code change. So the variance request, the zoning ordinance regulating detached accessory structure height in the urban neighborhood districts restricts the maximum height for these structures to 13 feet. The maximum height may be increased to 16 feet where two conditions are met. First, the primary exterior materials of the structure match the principal structure, and the roof pitch matches the primary roof pitch of the principal structure. The applicant proposed a 14.3-foot tall garage where the primary exterior materials match the principal structure. However, the proposed 10/12 roof pitch for the garage did not match the 5/12 roof pitch of the principal structure. Staff recommended denial of the variance application. Staff didn't find challenges in complying with the ordinance regarding detached accessory structures height due to circumstances unique to the property. The applicant could construct a detached garage up to 16 feet in height that complies with the design standards. Further, code was revised with the intention of limiting the height of new detached accessory structures that do not comply with the additional standards. Second, staff did not find that the property owner proposed to use the property in a reasonable manner that was in keeping with the intent and spirit of the ordinance and the comprehensive plan. The spirit of the ordinance is to apply design standards, guidance, and regulation consistently across the city, regardless of market conditions or rent structure of development. And the intent of the ordinance is to allow for taller detached accessory structures that match the exterior material roof and roof pitch of the primary structure. In short, the code changed, but that is not enough to meet the variance findings. Ultimately, the Zoning Board of Adjustment adopted staff findings for the application and denied the variance to increase the height of the detached accessory structure from 13 feet to 14.3 feet. And I just have a couple of images from the plans here showing the proposed garage and the existing principal structure. And that concludes my presentation. I'll stand for comments and questions.
Any questions from my colleagues? Not seeing any so far. Thank you. I will go ahead and give the appellant's representative or the appellant an opportunity to speak, and you'll have 10 minutes for your presentation. And so, if the appellant is here. While you're getting set up, I'll just say, we have hit the quasi-judicial portion of committee, and we're making decent time, and this is usually where the committee can go off the rails, and we'll be here for another 4 hours if everything goes wrong. And so I'll just say to everyone, we'll walk through each item and what, the time allotments and all that kind of stuff, and we will hear everybody out, hear your case. But to the extent that you want to be generous and give everybody a minute or two back at a time, that is welcome in this committee. So, but that's all. With that, you do have 10 minutes, but you don't
Heard
have to
loud and clear. My name is Matt Moose. I am the property owner of 4421 Aldrich Avenue, along with my wife, Angie Moose. So I'll try to be brief because Nick did cover some of the background on this, but just in general, so the reason we're doing this project is really to enable our family to stay in our current property, stay in our neighborhood. We really love the neighborhood, and we don't want to move. And the way that this garage was designed is essentially so we can have more usable space within our home by taking a lot of the stuff and storage in our home, moving it to the garage, we have some extra space. So the reason for the appeal, there's 3 of them. One is the project timing with respect to the rule change. Nick covered that a little bit. Then as far as the Board of Adjustments rulings, as far as the, not meeting practical difficulties, disagree with how some of the things that they said in the meeting and in their findings. And then again, with the sort of spirit and intent of meeting those requirements. So, this is, Nick already showed some of this stuff, but this is just the existing property and the new proposed garage. Basically, we're just putting a 2-stall garage in the spot of a 1-stall garage. The biggest difference is it's going to be offset 3 feet from the property line, which to align with the December 2022 building requirements. So as far as the project timing, the big thing here is that we started planning this project in spring of 2023. I had many back and forth emails with the zoning folks to look at designs, confirm that we were meeting all the requirements. About April of last year, we confirmed the design. Our builder started moving forward. We got on their schedule. It took about 3 months essentially for them to start the building. But in that time frame, the rules completely changed. And our garage was no longer allowed. And there's no notice or anything that I'm aware of. Our builder was not aware of it. So we could have easily submitted the permit if we knew there was something coming. But we didn't. So I guess, really given the short time frame that they changed the rules 6 months after they previously changed them. I don't know what the requirements are for changing rules, but it's the busiest season for building exterior projects. We're right in the middle of it. And they just changed the rules 6 months. So I don't know how you keep track of changing things that frequently, but look at the website on a daily basis. But anyway, so this is one big reason for asking for an appeal and approval of the variance. Is just the project timing. So I kind of covered this. I won't go through it. This is just examples of, back in the spring where the zoning folks said, yes, Matt, you can build this garage. It meets all the requirements. You can go ahead and move forward. This is just an example of the changes to the rules. So this is the rules, the revision in December 2022. We met all of these requirements for the up to 20-foot category, and then here's the new rules in July 2023, and we meet everything except this matching principal structure for the roof pitch. So the second reason for the appeal is disagree with the staff findings on practical difficulties. So during the Board of Adjustment meeting, they said you should be able to build a garage that's 13 to 16 feet high, meet your requirements, and match the roof pitch. And I during the meeting, I said, you can't, because you also have a maximum wall height requirement. So if I put my roof pitch and the maximum wall height, I get a garage that is 12.5 feet tall. And it gives me 5 feet of space up above it to crawl around in, I guess. So I'm not sure why they were pretty persistent telling me that it could. I don't think they really understood the rules that well or did the math behind it. So I guess the other way we could meet the rules is we could modify our roof pitch, which to me is not really reasonable. And then I guess ultimately to me, I don't see what the purpose of this whole rule is, as far as if we reduce the height to 13 feet, the garage is going to look exactly the same it's going to have a non-matching roof pitch. Basically, it's just diminishing the functionality of it for to me, real benefit. It's going to be 1 foot 3 inches shorter, but it will not have a usable space above. So it's just a waste of money spent on building it and just functionality. And then I guess the next piece is the spirit and intent part. So the staff findings, Nick just talked through them, but to me, like I said, this is allowing a higher density and more occupancy in our current residence because we're tight on space. It's an old Minneapolis house. We don't have storage. And so moving a lot of that stuff into our garage allows us to have more usable space in our house, somewhere where our kids can, once they get to be teenagers, have more space. And then I guess the other piece is tons of our neighbors have this exact same garage, and now all of a sudden we can't have one. So I just, as far as like being within the character of the neighborhood, I don't see any reason why it doesn't match the character of the neighborhood or the spirit or intent of the ordinance. This is just an example. This is on my immediate street. A bunch of garages that are essentially identical to what we are proposing to build. And now all of a sudden we can't build it. And I guess I get like, if I tried to do this now, sure, the rules are what the rules are, but we were planning this well in advance. We had confirmation that we could go do it, and it was just kind of sprung on us right as we were starting to build. Like, we were one month late in submitting the permit. So, I guess with that, just, asking you to consider approving this and allowing us to stay in our home, also stay in Minneapolis. So, appreciate your time, and thanks.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I will now open the public hearing and see if there's anyone else here to speak to this item. You'll have about 2 minutes to speak.
Chair Ellison, no one has signed up to speak.
Well, no one has signed up to speak. I'll give it 2, 3, like a 3 count. Anybody else here to speak on this item? I'm sorry, no. All right, seeing no one else, I will close the public hearing, and I'll see if there's any discussion from my colleagues. Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. I'm wondering if staff could come back up and just speak to the benefit of the rule change. I know that was questioned in the appellant's case.
Yeah, I can't necessarily speak to a great extent on the zoning ordinance change because I wasn't with the city at the time that the zoning ordinance was going through these changes, but I think one of the changes was related to the addition of accessory dwelling unit standards, which would, if it's an ADU, that would allow for a detached accessory dwelling unit structure up to 21 feet in height. The main difference being that those structures are intended for residential dwelling, whereas garages are not designed for that. So that's why the height was reduced for detached garages, but it was maintained at a similar height for accessory dwelling units.
Okay.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. That was literally my question, and I want to try to understand, are the appellants, because you talked about increasing living space, will there be folks in the place, or are you just storing stuff in this garage versus?
Should I go to microphone or?
If if you're being asked a direct question,
Yes.
I suppose you can come to the mic.
Yeah, it'll be primarily storage. It's also going to be like a flex space for kids to hang out, home office type of thing.
I mean, will your parents come, and if they visit, is there like a mattress they can stay in this space? Like,
Because it's not an ADU, you can't have anybody sleep in there. So it's extra space, but not for sleeping. At one point, it could be converted to an ADU down the road because it does have the size to do that, but we're not planning on having anybody live in there. It's to give us more livable space in our home.
Yeah, it just feels sort of arbitrary that there's different height variations for ADU versus garage.
Yeah,
when many garages are accessory dwelling units in our city, that's kind of the trend, particularly in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those sentiments. When we're in this quasi-judicial body, I kind of see our role as like, we don't have as much legislative flexibility, discretion, and so I'm trying to figure out, if we were going to grant this in some way, what would our findings be? What would our justification be? My understanding is that practical difficulty has less to do with sort of like total circumstances and more to do with the physical space, right? That's there, and is there a practical difficulty with the physical space? And it sounds like that doesn't exist here. Although I do, the timing is certainly, I'm sure, feels very frustrating, and so. So that's just kind of just a little bit of a response to you, Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair. Can I follow up with
please, yeah.
A different question?
Is that to staff or the appellant?
I think it may be to staff, but boy, honestly, I just lost my whole train of thought.
It's okay.
It'll come back.
Absolutely. I'll call on Councilmember Cashman in the meantime.
Thank you. This is also a question for you.
Okay.
What is the time period for compliance when the rule change was made? At which point did it come into effect?
Yeah, that was my question, I guess.
Is there like a grace period after the zoning code changes?
I mean, the appellant spoke about like they had just made their permit application like a month late after the rule change had been made. They didn't know that the rule had been changed, and it does seem reasonable for them to be frustrated that it went into effect immediately while they were pretty much ready for construction.
Councilmember Cashman, Kimberly Holine, manager of the Land Use Design and Preservation Team. We typically handle other types of applications, but I'll try to help through this as much as I can. So the change to this particular regulation was part of the overall change to the zoning code update that followed the adoption of the comprehensive plan Minneapolis 2040. So this was, a years-long effort to update the code, and it involved an update to nearly every section of the zoning code. And with that, there wasn't individual engagement and stakeholders. It wasn't like we just changed the garage regulations and could have reached out to garage contractors in the city to notify them and get their feedback. So there was an implementation date. I wasn't involved in this particular application. We did have a little bit of lead time on that because it was a comprehensive change to the entire ordinance. We needed to allow people some time to catch up with the regulations and understand whether or not their project would be impacted, and it went into effect July 1st of last year.
Thank you. So how long was the lead time? Approximately?
I couldn't say exactly. I was on maternity leave, but it was several months.
Several months,
yes.
Okay.
I'll comment, if you want.
Planner number 3 up here for questions. So Meg McMahon, Planning Director. So the ordinance was adopted in April. It went into effect July 1st. So there was notification generally out about the new code, but there was a window of time from adoption to implementation. And I will say that these particular changes reflected the historic regulations that had been in place, and so previously these similar language had existed in the code. There was a period of time where that had changed to allow taller garages, essentially, accessory structures. Then when the city adopted its ADU regulations, the rationale was that if we're going to allow the larger structures, they should be for housing and not for storage of things. And so when we kind of re-amalgamated the code back with the adoption of the land use rezoning study, the idea was we allowed larger footprints of accessory garages, but reduce the height, and then you get a premium on the height if it's used for housing. So that was kind of the rationale for the changes.
Yeah, follow up?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that explanation. So what would this applicant need to do to their space to make it ADU compliant?
So we have ADU site standards. They could go through and construct that, but essentially it would be to make it a dwelling unit that could house people. So there's rules associated with that would allow for additional height. But then there's, plumbing and mechanicals and things like that would need to be included.
Okay, thanks.
I have a proposed idea to my colleagues, and I'll see if this is permissible. I don't want to. You can have a seat. We have had other applications before us where the rules have changed, sort of the ground shifted underneath people's feet, and we have not given them, those applicants grace. That's come before us before, and so I don't want to create inconsistency here in how we are sort of issuing out the rules, but I do understand that it feels like there might be a case here for, this structure to be built this way. I don't want to grant the appeal here because I don't know if those findings exist, but I did want to offer to my colleagues that we forward this without recommendation and give ourselves a little bit of, a week or so to figure out if there are findings that could be drafted to support this. That gives a little bit of hope to the applicant, but on the flip side of that, those findings may not exist, and we may still come to full council and deny the appeal. So I just, that's me wanting to be as transparent as possible about what this solution is. It's not necessarily a completed solution here for you today, but could leave a little bit of opening for this body to see if there are findings between now and full council. I'll see if the clerks take any issue with that motion. I'll see if my colleagues take any issue with that motion. Staff. Sorry, sir, I'm not that open of a call. All right, then I will go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
That has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And that will be forwarded without recommendation to full council, and we will adjudicate this at that time. Great, we are on to item 11. And so our next item is a quasi-judicial hearing regarding an appeal of the decision of the Planning Commission to approve a conditional use permit to increase the height of 2 light poles from the permitted 35 feet to 70 feet and to increase the height of 2 light poles from the permitted 35 feet to 80 feet in the UN1 Urban Neighborhood District at Minnehaha Academy Athletic Field. I'll ask Hillary Dvorak from CPED to give us a presentation.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Chair Ellison and council members. I am Hillary Dvorak. I'm a principal planner in the Land Use Design and Preservation section of the Planning Division of CPED. This is an appeal for the Minnehaha Academy North Campus Turf Field project. This project went to Planning Commission on June 10th. There were several applications before the commission that night. One was a conditional use permit to increase the height of the light poles. There was a setback variance, 2 variances to increase the height of bleachers and the scoreboard, and then a variance to increase the amount of impervious surface. The first 4 applications were approved. The variance of the impervious surface was denied by the Planning Commission. The appellant has appealed only the one action, the approval of the conditional use permit to increase the height of the light poles. The site is located at 3100 West River Parkway. There are two single-family homes that are also owned by the school, 3105 46th Avenue and 3106 47th Avenue. Those are both single-family homes. The site is located on the north side of East 32nd Street, and the school site extends from West River Parkway to 46th Avenue South. It is occupied by Minnehaha Academy. It is a Christian private school serving students from 9th to 12th grade in this location. The building, as you can see in the aerial, is located towards the center of the site and extends from East 32nd up north to East 31st. There's a surface parking lot towards the southeast corner of the site and one immediately west of the building. And then on the western 1/3 of the site is an athletic field, an existing athletic field that they are proposing to redo. They would like to add lights and then redo the scoreboard and the bleachers, excuse me. The athletic field is used for gym classes, sports team practices and games, homecoming week events, and summer programs. The athletic field is used Monday through Saturday during the spring, summer, and fall months. The applicant does anticipate leasing out the athletic field to outside groups during the spring and summer months. The appellant would anticipate leasing the athletic field for up to 30 days a year. This is the site plan of just the athletic field itself. The 4 light poles that are proposed are these 4 dots. So 2 on the west side, and then 1 on the south side here, and 1 on the north side here. The maximum height of light poles, accessory to all uses, is limited to 35 feet, except for the single, 2, and cluster developments. The maximum height for athletic field lights can be increased by conditional use permit, provided the height of the light poles shall not exceed 80 feet. In the urban neighborhood district, the applicant is proposing to have 2 light poles at 70 feet and 2 light poles at 80 feet. Increasing the height of the light poles from the permitted 35 feet to 70 and 80 feet will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, comfort, or general welfare. Lighting fixtures shall be effectively arranged so as not to directly or indirectly cause illumination or glare in excess of 1 half-foot candle measured at the closest property line of any permitted or conditional residential use, and then 5-foot candles measured at the street curb line or non-residential property line of the light source. The applicant is proposing full cutoff light fixtures that direct light down. The lights will be focused on the athletic field with defined cutoffs to minimize light spill and glare levels outside of the field. CPED staff is recommending a condition of approval, or did recommend a condition of approval, and it was adopted that the light fixtures that are used be full cutoff light fixtures. The applicant did provide illumination studies that show the foot candle measurements at the property lines of the residential properties along both 46th and 32nd. The illumination study that was done for the light poles, and I don't think you're going to be able to see this unless you zoom in really well, and I don't know if I can zoom in, and I don't know how to do that, so I won't. This is the foot candle study that was done with the 35-foot high light poles. And they are in far excess. The foot candles are the numbers in the boxes. It is supposed to be 0.5. That is the limitation. The foot candle measurements at this property line or at the property line of these homes ranges from 1.7 up to 4.51. So clearly in excess of that 0.5. They then did a study by raising the height of those lights and being able to focus the lights down, which meets dark sky criteria. And you can see that the foot candle at those same indications is 0.01 to 0.21, so clearly under the 0.5 limitation. So the illumination studies show that increasing the height of the lights reduces the amount of glare on the surrounding residential properties. The study also shows that increasing the height of the lights allows for even playing or even lights across the field, which makes it safer for those players. So increasing the height of the light poles will not only reduce foot candle measurements at the property lines of the residential properties on both of the adjacent residential streets, but it also allows the applicant to provide that consistent lighting level across the field for player safety. The zoning code does allow an exception to the lighting standards for athletic fields that would allow them to exceed the 1/2 foot candle measured at that property line of the permitted or conditional residential use. between the hours of 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. because of their unique circumstances for nighttime visibility and limited hours of operation. However, in this case, the applicant has applied for the conditional use permit to increase the height of the lights to reduce that glare on the surrounding properties. Recognizing that the school is located in a residential neighborhood, CPED staff did add 2 additional conditions of approval to the conditional use permit approval. That one is that the lights be turned off by 10:15, which has been a consistent condition of approval that we have applied to other athletic fields for both private and public enterprises across the city. And also, staff recommended condition of approval that the lights only be turned on when the athletic field is being used. That concludes my presentation. I will stand for any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vorak. I'll see if there are any questions. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the person who wants this denied, is that a neighbor? I'm assuming it's someone, neighbor?
Correct. It is
and they understand that by having taller poles, there's less glare in their house? They understand that, or they do not understand that?
I will let the appellant answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
They'll be up in a sec. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. How late do activities, events, games go at the school?
Depends on overtime. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
It is my understanding from the public hearing and the testimony that was given that most events at the field end by 9 p.m., but the president of Minnehaha Academy is here and can speak to that question as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. I'm not going to really give too many remarks on the item. Kind of want to just let the public hearing and take place and the appellant come forward. I just wanted to note to colleagues on the body that this is, this is an item specifically in my ward. 2, this is something that spent a lot of time on in the last planning commission meeting. There were a number of variances alongside this one, and then there was some discussion I can share later on specifically related to this conditional use permit, but just wanted to acknowledge that there is a good amount of time spent discussing. I think we went until the captioner had to leave.
Let's try not to repeat that today.
We've got many hours.
Yeah, we got time. No, thank you, Councilmember Chowdhury. If there's no further comments from colleagues or questions from colleagues, then I'm going to go over some of the rules here. They're a little different. This item's a little bit bigger. There's a lot more interest in this item, and so I'm going to change some of the rules here, and I hope folks don't take issue with that. Although if you do, that's okay, but the rules are changed. So one is that I usually give 10 minutes for presentations, but it's not just the appellant here. We have the appellant and the applicant, and so I'm going to offer 7.5 minutes per so that we can sort of shorten our time here and allow everybody else here to have a little bit of a life. And then we have a long list of folks that want to give testimony. We usually give 2 minutes for testimony, but the list is long, and so I'm going to offer 90 seconds for folks to give their testimony. Again, a little bit of a difference, but hopefully you all have shared talking points and you can hammer them down and do that in 90 seconds. And so those are just some of the rule changes you'll see. But with that, I'll invite the appellant up or the appellant's representative, and you will have 7.5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Well, I'm glad I prepared for a shorter presentation.
Music to my ears.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soumya Verma. I am here today with my partner, David Radel. Today, we're going to present to you, of course, but thank you for your time. Together, David and I own a home on 46th Avenue South, directly across from Minnehaha Academy Athletic Field. Minnehaha Academy has operated a school at this property for over 100 years. Our home, like most of the other residential homes in this neighborhood, has also been there for nearly 100 years. During that time, there have never been lights on the athletic field, and the addition of these lights and the expansion of the athletic activities into the evening hours will be a big change for our neighborhood. So we have submitted this appeal to represent concerns shared by 50-plus of our residents in the immediate vicinity, even though I know it's just my name on the appeal, but I'm representing my neighbors. Some of those residents are here today. Many others have submitted comments, like Councilmember Chowdhury said, here, and in writing and/or in person. They've been here in the previous hearing for the City Planning Commission. I hope y'all take the time to review those. As written, the conditional use permit, or the CUP, would allow Minnehaha Academy to install 70 and 80 feet lights and use them until 10:15 p.m. daily. We are here today requesting some very reasonable modifications to the CUP regarding earlier light shut-off time and limiting field lights to only school use. We believe that these modifications will help us come to a good understanding with Minnehaha Academy, minimize the negative effects and impacts to the surrounding residents, and provide guidance for the future that is consistent with the city policies. So we'd like to take some time to elaborate on that. First, limiting the use of field lights to an earlier shut-off time. We've learned through experience that the activities on the field generate a lot of noise, and they're extremely disruptive, thinking about crowds, spectators, buzzers, amplified announcers, and music, and they can be heard in our rooms, in our houses, in our bedrooms, even with the windows closed. Extending athletic activities until 10:15 p.m. will result in increased light and noise pollution that would be detrimental to our comfort and of the nearby residents, and injurious to the use of our properties and enjoyment of our properties as well. Also, allowing field lights to be used until 10:15 p.m. is inconsistent with the current city ordinance restricting noise and lighting from the athletic events after 10 p.m. So this is a direct contradiction to the ordinance. Minnehaha Academy previously had negotiated and voluntarily agreed to minimizing light use of the property by 8 p.m. The restriction was memorialized in the prior site plan, which was Plans 60054, and it was approved by the City Council in 2018. I'm not going to take the time because my time was cut short. However, it did say in there that the applicant will reduce the light pollution by minimizing use of interior lights after 8 p.m. So what we're asking here is like allowing the field lights to be used until 10:15 would effectively nullify this pre-existing restriction. To comply with the existing site plan and also the city ordinance, we are asking and recommending a requirement of earlier cutoff time of 8 p.m. for field lights in the proposed CUP. Secondly, we are requesting adding a condition to the proposed CUP that limits the field lights to only be used by the school for their own activities, not by third party. Minnehaha Academy had stated that they intend to rent the athletic field for use by third-party groups not affiliated with the school. So allowing these lights to be used by third party would be inconsistent with the applicable guidance of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan, which states, not going to take the time here, but y'all know urban neighborhoods, how they're defined as small-scale institutional semi-public uses, which includes community centers, schools, public safety areas. So, and it is like under the neighborhood mixed-use categories, commercial uses can continue serving their existing commercial function. That is what it states in there. So commercial zoning is appropriate for these properties, while expansion of commercial uses and zoning into surrounding areas is not encouraged. Based on this, renting the field out for nighttime activities would be an expansion of commercial use and would come at the detriment of the residential use of surrounding properties. At the June 10th hearing, Minnehaha Academy stated that they were willing to accept a condition to not allow the lights to be used for rental activities. So all we're asking is to formalize the statement by adding this to the conditional use permit. Lastly, we are requesting for these two modifications to the proposed conditional use permit, as they will help be more applicable or comply with policies 1666 of the 2040 Comprehensive Plan for the City of Minneapolis. Because most of Minnehaha Academy students are throughout the metro, spanning 77 zip codes, extending the athletic activities after dark, allowing unchecked use by third-party organizations, would result in unnecessary light pollution and excess air pollution due to the influx of single-occupancy vehicles for an increased number of events that will occur in that space. So in closing, I would really like to take this opportunity to thank my fellow Cooper neighbors who have invested many hours of their personal time to help with researching policies, engaging in neighborhood discussions, to then come up with these thoughtful suggestions. And we're coming to you as representatives of our only avenue to agency as residents of Minneapolis. So we believe that this request will help us reach an acceptable understanding with Minnehaha Academy and allow the proposed conditional use permit to be compliant with the current city ordinance as well as the 2040 comprehensive plan. Once again, we believe this is a reasonable, justified, and is within your power to take action today. So thank you so much for taking it seriously.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
I left you 5 seconds.
I love it. So now I will invite the applicant. I hate that those words are so similar. But yes, we just heard from the appellant. I'll invite the applicant up. You will also have 7.5 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Carol Lansing. I'm an attorney at Faegre Drinker, and I'm working with Minnehaha Academy on these applications. I plan to address the key points of the letter that we submitted to you in response to the appeal. I hope that you did receive that. And Donna Harris, president of Minnehaha, will address you on the importance of these lights and the field improvements. First, I want to clarify that there is no limit in ordinance to the ability to use athletic field lights after 10 p.m. The limit is that they cannot exceed that 0.5-foot candle spillover onto other property after 10. They can exceed it with no limit up to 10 p.m., as Ms. Dvorak said, because there's unique needs for lighting athletic fields. The point of having taller lights is that they won't exceed it at any time. But I just want to confirm there is no limit on being able to have lights after 10 p.m. And the standard that staff has imposed is 10:15, and we believe that's fair to impose the same limit on light use on Minnehaha Academy as you would on other schools, but not something different. Yes, most events might be done by 9:30, some might go longer, but you still need time to get people off the field, you need time to, clean up the equipment and put it away. And so that's why we are concerned with having a different standard regarding when the lights have to be turned off. In our letter, Minnehaha Academy reiterated, as they did at the Planning Commission meeting, that they are agreeable to a condition of approval that would say the lights will not be used for rental activities. And that was what they repeated, and that is what we stated in the letter, and that is agreeable to Minnehaha Academy. So the other essential points in our letter that I want to make for you is sort of already alluded to. The taller lights have less impact, and that's why they meet every legal criteria for a conditional use permit. The lights have light fixtures, multiple light fixtures, and if they're taller, they can be pointed more downward and still reach across the field. But as the light pole height goes down, some of them have to be angled out more, and that's where you get the light spill. The second point is that Minnehaha Academy should not be regulated differently than other schools in the city. I don't have a PowerPoint, and your overhead isn't working. But I did include pictures in our letter, that it is not at all uncommon for high schools to be in low-density residential neighborhoods. We have pictures of Roosevelt, North High, and Southwest. I also, South High School. They're all in low-density residential neighborhoods with single-family homes right across the street, and they all have light poles that are like 70, 80 feet tall for their field. So to treat Minnehaha Academy uniformly would be to not impose, to not deny them this application and to not impose any regulations other than what are typical. One other point I want to make is that in 2018, when the school went in for a building addition to replace the building that was demolished in an explosion, there were no conditions that related to the athletic field. There was a condition about exterior lighting, building lighting, and that doesn't apply because these are not building lights. And there was a condition about site lighting generally, not specific to the field. That was that it be downward focused, and that's what these lights will be. So they will be in conformance with that condition.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to offer comments. My name is Donna Harris, president of Minnehaha Academy. My brief comments will solely focus on Minnehaha's desire for lighting on the athletic field. As an institution, we continue to focus on ongoing school improvements to identify curricular and co-curricular enhancements for the benefit of students and families. Lighting at the height that has been referenced on the athletic field is one of those enhancements for which Minnehaha has set aside resources to be able to complete. The addition of lights on Minnehaha's soccer field is an enhancement that will allow students to finish their academic school day rather than having to leave class early and begin games early so that the games can be concluded before sundown. In addition, parents are less likely to have to juggle their work schedules to make it to games or miss competitions altogether because of earlier scheduled games, particularly JV games that would have to start very, very early. Having lights on a high school athletic field is not unusual, as has been stated, nor is it a precedent. Many schools in Minneapolis enjoy having lights on their athletic fields. The lights will create an opportunity for night games, a typical high school experience at high schools across Minneapolis, the state, and across the nation, quite frankly. Our student athletes enjoy this experience regularly when competing at other schools. I look forward to a Friday night game as head of school, under the lights, experiencing the joy of victory and the agony of defeat, cheering for our student athletes, hearing the laughter of children, and building lasting community. Our students and families are excited about this project. It is reasonable and appropriate for a school. We hope this committee's decision this evening will allow Minnehaha to move forward with the lighting project. I want to underscore the 9:30. Yes, we did mention 9:30 at the Planning Commission, but again, as our athletic director would say, we would complete by about 9:30, sometimes games end at 9:45, but we need to clean up. And so the 10:15, we think, is reasonable for concluding games and being off the field, as well as I mentioned at the Planning Commission, when we do rentals, they're typically during the summer for youth soccer programs. When it gets dark at 9 o'clock or 9:30, we don't need lights. And so we don't anticipate renting our field and using lights for those third-party. And I would just say those third-party folks are managed. We have site, they sign an extensive contract. We have site managers. They have to abide by our policies or they would not be able to rent for us again. We really care about the neighborhood, our school, and so we manage anyone that leases from our school. Thank you. Any questions at all?
No questions. Thank you so much. I did have one clarifying question for staff, though, before we get into the rest of the public hearing. If I'm not out of order here. It was, I feel like there was a general understanding that the 10:15 light cutoff was a time that the lights had to be turned off. The applicant sort of refuted that just a second ago, and I just wanted to get some clarity on what our understanding of the 10:15 timing is.
Okay, so we do not limit the time that lights can be on. However, athletic fields are allowed to exceed the light levels between 7 and 10 p.m.
Okay, understand.
And so, Parade Stadium, other public high schools, De La Salle, other private high schools, other private entities in the city that have requested the conditional use permit for taller lights so they can reduce the levels. We've given them the ability to keep the lights on until 10:15 to allow the activities to conclude, to allow the extra inning to happen, to allow cleanup and things like that. So that's why we have a condition of approval that the lights have to be off by 10:15. They're not exceeding the light levels at that. They wouldn't be exceeding the light levels because of the height, and so the light levels wouldn't be exceeded. So
The light levels wouldn't be exceeded, but they do have to be off by 10:15.
light levels can be, you can exceed the light levels between 7 and 10.
Got it.
Their lights wouldn't exceed the light levels, but they'd be on, and they could be on until 10:15. We're giving them that 15-minute grace period. We're just saying shut them off by 10:15, even though we're not saying, even though they don't have to have them off.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to jump into the public hearing. I've got a list of 11 names here. If you hear your point be made, feel free to take yourself out of queue. But if everyone wants to speak, everyone will speak. So first, I have Alejandra Linskog, is what it looks like it says. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you for allowing public comments to address concerns about the lights at the soccer field at Minnehaha Academy. I am a parent of a junior and a senior student at Minnehaha. I'm also a neighbor, I live in the neighborhood. And both our kids play soccer, and as a family, we've experienced the difficulties of lack of lighting in the field. While some might harbor some reservations, I also want to bring up the benefits of having lights in a soccer field. As you know, students from our school and opposing teams need to leave class early in order to complete games before sundown. If visiting teams are running even a few minutes late due to traffic, the JV team needs to cut their game short in order to allow time for the varsity game to happen, which creates inequitable playing time for our players and for the visiting team as well. This does not provide equity experience for our students, and night games are a typical athletic experience that all kids like to experience and parents like to experience as well. It brings joy to our community. It's important to mention that as parents, we love supporting our kids and we want to be there at their games, but it's extremely difficult to take off work at 3:30 when your kid is playing soccer, because that's the time that they start playing. As also students, staff, and family and opposing teams who will play at Minnehaha Academy are hoping to have a well-lit field to enhance safety. Appropriate lighting reduces the likelihood of accidents by reducing shadows. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we have Tom Huberty. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Council. That's Tom Huberti, and I am a resident. My wife and I are owners of a home 3 doors down at 3949 46th Avenue South, and acknowledge the current situation might provide less light, but the irony is that the light issue sheds light on the disruption in the neighborhood caused by the potential of renting the field to third parties. And so what I support is certainly the extra efforts of Ms. Verma and Mr. Roll to put together their presentation, looking at a cutoff time of 8 p.m. I want to support that, consistent with what I believe to be a reading of the 2018 approvals, and that the school has said that the lights would not be used for rental activity. If that is the case, I hope that that is formalized in the conditional use permit. Thank you very much for the council members for this listening.
Thank you. We've got, looks like it says Deb Schold. Deb Should? Schold. Got it. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Deb Schold, and I'm a neighbor. I live on 47th Avenue, just a few houses down from the soccer field. I personally really enjoy hearing the sounds of the cheering and the national anthem played and the activities of youth. To me, it's sounds of our future. When we have our children involved in sports and athletic events, it teaches them teamwork, it teaches them self-discipline, it teaches them a lot of things that will benefit our future in terms of work ethic and maintaining their own health. And if there's anything that we can do to help that development, it also keeps kids out of trouble doing other things. They're involved in something that could be family-oriented. So I support this endeavor to increase the playability and the timing so families can all enjoy the sport together.
Thank you so much. Doug Smith?
Good afternoon. I'm Doug Smith. We live at 3520 47th Avenue South. We've been there for 22 years, and for 14 years before that, we were on 45th Avenue, and as I like to say, just a 5-iron away from the soccer field. I do support the taller light standards. I think it's a good idea just for the neighborhood and reducing that lateral glare. And it's also better for the athletes because they don't have the light in their faces while they are playing. I've known parents and students and faculty at Minnehaha for many years. It's a great place. It brings some vitality, and I agree with Deb in that Friday night high school experience is really fun, and I understand that at other schools in our city we have the same thing happening with lights, and I think it's really good for folks. Plus, it helps with scheduling. You can complete your workday more realistically. You can get your classes done, and then you can go to the game. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. We'll have Scott Andre.
Hi, I'm Scott Andre. I live on 46th Avenue, just a few houses down at 4344 46th Avenue. My request with regard to this proposal is that Minnehaha Academy make a maximum effort to minimize the spillover, light, and glare into the surrounding neighborhood. Darksky.org recommends that no less than 85% of total lumens generated must fall on the target area, in this case the playing field, plus a 10-meter buffer. The school is adjacent to the Mississippi River Corridor Critical Area, which the city's own MRCCA ordinance has identified as under threat from light pollution affecting migrating wildlife. I would encourage Minnehaha Academy to fully shield the lights, fully shield them so that direct light is limited to just the pitch and the 10-meter buffer. Use a warm light color temp, 3,000 to 5,700 to protect people's sleep, and include dimming and timing controls to ensure that the minimum amount of necessary light is used, both in time and intensity. I fully support sports for our kids, but in my experience, most sports field lighting is excessive and concerned more with video coverage of sports events than what the young athletes actually need. Thanks.
Thank you. We've got, is it S-A or S-E-H? Go ahead and correct me on the pronunciation, and then, yeah, you've got 90 seconds.
You had it partially correct, but my name is S.A. Haptis, and I'm an upcoming high school senior at Minnehaha. I'm also the captain for the 2024 Minnehaha boys soccer team. I've been with the program since middle school, and although I played soccer my whole life, Minnehaha's soccer program has allowed me to understand soccer on a more competitive level and also has allowed me to deepen my sense of community with them. When it comes to the matter of the installment of these lights at Minnehaha Academy, It would allow students like myself during the school year to not miss portions of our class due to the fact that we cannot play at sundown when it gets dark. For example, last year, me and another teammate of mine would have to leave our AP US history class on at least 4 to 5 different occasions due to the fact that we'd have to get ready for an upcoming home field game. While it can be fun leaving class and watching your your classmates watching Dalene, it's frustrating having to miss important information and relearn parts of it ourselves. And speaking for most of my teammates, we're also excited for the installment of these lights. As many athletes could agree, playing under the flashing lights can feel like a dream, adding to the ambiance every athlete wants. And finally, it gets frustrating knowing the fact that other schools already have their lights set up, putting us at the odd ones out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We've got, is it Zena Huff?
Hi, I'm Zaina. It's always hard to compromise, for humans to compromise. And I think too often, like outdoor lighting installations, they're overlit, left on when not needed. And they make it hard to see things like northern lights and the eclipse. So my request is that Minnehaha Academy follow sort of best practices of responsible outdoor lighting, which is a thing. And Minneapolis actually has or Minnesota has a statute, which not all states have. Oregon's, of course, is a little stronger. California's is a little better. But Minnesota is one of those states that have agreed to work towards reducing light pollution, and it's the law. So I'm just curious if there's like an environmental impact statement made about how the use of the light will actually impact the area and the wildlife. There's a ton of people that use that area that are not going to a very expensive academy, that come from the lower income public schools, and they come and see eagles nesting, and they come and see all the other uses of that space. And it's next to a national park, and maybe our giant best feature, a river. So increasing lighting is kind of counter to what I think most public people need. Height of the light pole matters, but so does the shielding and like the careful aiming. Target the direction of the light, that needs to be in there. Lowest level required, limit the wavelength.
Thank you, Zaina.
Yeah.
Lisa Fink.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Fink. I live at 3144 46th Avenue South. It's right across from the soccer field. And I actually do really enjoy soccer during the daytime and early evening hours because then the traffic goes away at a reasonable time. I just want to say thank you to all of you for thoughtfully looking at this. It does really matter to a very large number of us in a fairly close proximity to the school. Also, thank you to Soumya Verma on behalf of all of us for the good research that she and David and others have done. I want to just speak quickly to the previous restrictions that you see in the appeal. The 2018 City Council, I actually was there listening, and they were really concerned about the impact of pollution, even light pollution, on our neighborhood. It's a river corridor area, as you know. So they imposed these, or they adopted these lighting restrictions. Nothing has really changed in that 6 years. We still, if anything, know pollution matters to all our communities. It affects us, whether it's light, water, chemicals, whatever. So I'm asking that we really consider that for lighting of the new lighting, which has never before been installed in this particular field area. Finally, I just want to say that I will ask, please, for your support of the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Andrew Schmidt.
Hello, and thank you for your time today. My name is Andrew Schmidt, and I live on 46th Avenue South, directly across the athletic field at the North Campus. I'm here to voice my support for the appeal. I think the reasonable limitations that have been proposed here being enshrined in this conditional use permit would be important for us to ensure that we have some way to memorialize an understanding between neighbors and Minnehaha Academy what constitutes reasonable use. And I think the 8 p.m. cutoff time conforms to the existing encumbrance that already exists on that property to minimize light pollution of their building. And it does expand their use of the soccer field in the darker parts of the year. Currently today, they start their first game at 3:30, hour and a half, second game at 5, done by 6:30. From 6:30 to 8, that gives them a whole 90-minute section of time in the darker parts of the year to use lights if they need it. If they have a game delay, they can play until 8 p.m., which would be more than what they could do today. So we're not asking to take away everything. We just want to memorialize reasonable limitations to protect our interests as well as residents of a predominantly residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Nancy Victorin Van Gerud. I just butchered that, but you can. Van Gerud.
Yeah, Nancy BV. Thank you. Thank you, council members. My name is Nancy Victorin Van Gerud. My family and I have lived in our home at 3105 45th Avenue South for about 20 years. I'm a retired United Methodist clergywoman and chaplain in higher education. I support my neighbor, Salmia, and my other neighbors here in this proposal. When President Harris said that she was looking forward to building lasting community, my heart just connected because I think we can all identify joy and pride in students. But I too, as a Cooper neighbor, am looking forward to building lasting community in our vibrant, multi-generational, multicultural neighborhood. That's just a wonderful place to be for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. And we have, lastly, another Doug, but Doug B. I can't get this last one. Just a couple of letters. I'm not sure.
Hello, my name is Doug Braithwaite. I've been in the neighborhood, part of the neighborhood, for 59 and a half years. My family has been there for 80 years. Our house has been there for 118. We've seen a lot of changes over the years, a lot of different things happening. I support my neighbors with their appeal on the lighting issue. This is a conditional use permit, so you can put conditions. The city staff made it 10:15, but yet I was told it was 10 o'clock, but then we're told it can be 24 hours depending on whatever lighting. If they can change it to 10:15, Minnehaha Academy sounded agreeable to some sort of a limit, 8:30, 9, whatever. Let's work together and have some sort of limit, because this has been an incredible change just in the last 20 years of my life, how much has changed in the neighborhood. The underlying thing, too, is the city council also has to look at the big picture when it comes to artificial turf, which was denied, but yet there's still a possibility they could change the percentage and still have that artificial turf. And I'm greatly concerned about that. And you need to ask that question if, out of good faith, and things didn't happen the way everybody wanted, they didn't appeal that portion of it, but yet it could still happen. And the city of Minneapolis really needs to address this, because this is a product that is going to be a problem 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Thank you for your time.
And thank you. I don't have anyone else signed up to speak. I will give an opportunity for any other testifiers to come forward. I hope there's none, but if you're here, you're welcome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And see if my colleagues have any questions, any comments for staff, anyone. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Thank you, Chair Allison. Just a quick technical question before going into some comments. I can't recall, are the lights fully shielded on this one?
Yes, the light fixtures that they've proposed are fully shielded, fully cut off.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I'll just start off by saying thank you to all of the neighbors that showed up here today, and thank you to Minnehaha Academy for showing up. This is one of those instances where we're all in a neighborhood together, and there are some issues from the past and in the current of figuring out how to be good neighbors with one another. And I felt rather lucky to be on the Planning Commission and really hear out Minnehaha Academy and the neighbors in the area. There were multiple community meetings that were had, and out of that, we were discussing the variances in this conditional use permit, but what we found was that there are some issues around communication and complaints that have happened between neighbors and Minnehaha Academy, and through that discussion, there were some inroads in addressing how we can make things better and have better communication. And I just wanted to express my gratitude for that moment of coming together and kind of problem solving and communicating with each other in real time. Obviously, this is a big deal to the neighborhood, and I want to acknowledge that. We wouldn't be here having another longer meeting and an appeal coming forward and folks showing up during their busy schedules if that weren't the case. And I really want to offer to this body and our community here that showed up a way for us to find a compromise. How can we build a neighborhood looking into the future that works for everyone and is considerate of everyone? So first, I want to express my gratitude to Minnehaha Academy for hearing the neighbors when it came to the lights not being used for the rental. I think that's a motion that I would like to move as a condition of approval, that lights do not be used for rental uses or events. I think that moves us along. And then I wanted to also kind of discuss this portion about early shut-off time for lights, or an earlier shut-off time, right? Currently, we have 10:15 as an option. And I kind of wanted to share with my colleagues and kind of share with everyone, as I've been listening to the conversations that we've been having, this would be a significant change to the neighborhood. There is no denying that. It would change the way that the neighborhood feels. It would change how our events are done, and the impacts that would have on neighbors. Excuse me? Okay, just want to make sure. There would be a significant change, and for us not to say that that's not a valid concern wouldn't be genuine, right? They would change the conditions for many neighbors, and we had some neighbors show up here today, and I also know that there are neighbors who are working right now, neighbors who are taking care of young kids in this neighborhood who couldn't be here. And one of the chief concerns that neighbors have had is the impact it would be on just their day-to-day lives, putting kids to bed, that type of thing. And this school has been around since, I believe, 1913. I'm sorry if I'm off by a couple of years. So over 100 years later, this would be a big change. And also, I want to note that while we are trying to improve longstanding communication issues, they have existed. There have been valid complaints that have been made that haven't gone addressed, and that's been a part of a frustration that's been here that I think we can resolve. And I'll note to the members on this body, with Minnehaha Academy, this isn't the first time we've discussed putting conditions, maybe not in this iteration of the body, but it's happened in the past. In 2018, council members were in long discussions about this site and put forward some conditional use permits. I think residents brought that forward. An issue with those conditional use permits that I found through the tremendous work of our staff and taking time with me is that they were vague and kind of hard to enforce. But I just want to say that there is a precedent for us to consider this site in this way because of the relationship to the neighborhood. And so what I think would be a fair compromise here is a shut-off time as a condition of approval at 9:30, except for Fridays and homecoming, because I hear from the players and the community that those Friday night lights are really important, right, having that time. And I also want to acknowledge to the body, currently Minnehaha Academy, they have no lights, and so they're having to start their games earlier into the school day because they have to stop before the sun goes out. And that signals to me that if lights are available, they can adjust their schedule, so that's not a worry, but that also shows that there's an ability to adjust the schedule to match conditions. And I think this is an opportunity for us as a body to help support this neighborhood kind of coming together. I don't think everyone's getting exactly what they want here, but I think it is something that takes us in the direction of coming together and resolving some of the issues. So those are the two motions, conditions that I'm bringing forward. Happy to repeat that if necessary.
I have a few questions just for staff and for the clerks to help us sort of consolidate our thoughts here, and then I'm hoping to get a motion in front of Councilmember Rainville before he has to run off to a 4 o'clock, and so we'll try to be fast. One, the underlying issue before us is about the pole height, correct? And so how do we, but it sounds like both from the neighbors and from, that folks aren't actually concerned with the pole height. How do we kind of dispense with the pole height while still being able to add some of the conditions that Councilmember Chowdhury is proposing here?
Yes, Chair Ellison, good question. Again, Kimberly Holeen, Hillary offered to come up. I'll attempt to work through a couple things because I did just want to also raise a couple of things with the conditions of approval that have been discussed that I also raised when this was in front of the Planning Commission. The first being enforcement of conditions of approval. You've heard some testimony here today about a condition of approval from the 2018 application about interior lights. That condition of approval was added at the council on appeal for the previous application, and that condition of approval has language in it like encouraged as feasible. That doesn't give it a lot of teeth. And also it's about interior lighting. We have 3 zoning inspectors for the entire city, and they're not able to be really responsive to conditions of approval like that. A condition of approval that limits the lights to rental activities only is also a condition of approval that would be nearly impossible for our zoning enforcement staff.
You mean school
to
activities
enforce.
only?
Right, yes, no, sorry, school activities only
Got it.
to limit, or even make any sort of distinction between rental activities on the field and school activities on the field. I just want to note for the record with everyone in the room that that is something that would be nearly impossible for us to enforce. Being more restrictive than the zoning code for the hours on the lighting is also something that we've raised concerns about in the past. I don't know if the city attorney wants to weigh in on that at all, if we can be more restrictive than what the code allows for the lighting. So understanding that we're trying to kind of navigate some waters here as it relates to these conditions, I did want to note those 2 things.
Thank you. Noted. I will ask the city attorney to weigh in on that last portion, especially around timing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Certainly with the conditional use permit, there is an ability to provide or impose reasonable conditions. Those conditions have to have a nexus to the application that is before you. I think in general cases, there is some degree of a nexus between those sorts of categories, and I think there would be some room legally to impose those sorts of conditions. One of the conditions seems that it's been agreed to by the appellant. That being said, I'm not weighing in on whether those are wise conditions, whether they are in any way enforceable, what other challenges that might arise, but I do think there's authority with regard to those conditions.
Thank you. I'll offer my own insights. I'm a little weary of the restricting it to school activities only. I mean, I just think about I don't know, soccer leagues and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to support that condition. Although the school did say, at least from my understanding, that they would be amenable to that. I think that the time constraint. I hope that the residents kind of can hear that the practicality of it is a little difficult, but if the residents can accept that and also accept that you're going to maybe have to play an active role in enforcement, then I think that that's something that I'm prepared to support. I'm prepared to support that motion as well. So I'm a little 50-50 on that, on the 2 proposals. The other question, I guess, to the clerks is the substantive matter before us seems to be about the pole height, and so I'm just not sure how we get ourselves.
It's the CUP though.
Yeah. So yeah. how do we structure the motion in a way that we can get rid of the pole height, because it seems to be what's before us, unless I'm reading the.
Mr. Chair, if I might.
Yeah.
These would be conditions that are applicable to the permit that would be granted.
Okay. All right, then I'm happy to support the motion as made, and maybe if we could take up both the private rentals and then the curfew separately.
Madam Chair.
Please.
Thank you, Chair. You're doing a great job of getting us through this. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to note, I hear where staff's coming from on the enforcement side of it. I totally do. I think with this motion, my slight pushback would be it is not vague language, and I would hope that the school is willing to work with us as a city to share schedules, and then also as a city, when it comes to any complaint or addressing any situation around enforcement, we're a complaint-based city, and so this gives residents, community members, if enforcement's needed, an opportunity to just pick up the phone and call 311 and kind of help with that and kind of log that. So I just wanted to share my 2 cents on that, and just clarifying the motions. I believe one of them is a condition of approval of the lights only to be used on school events, and then the other is a motion for a condition of approval that the lights be turned off by 9:30 p.m. except for Friday and homecoming. And those are the 2 motions that I'm bringing forward separately.
And then I see we have Councilmember Jenkins in queue and Councilmember Cashman. Let's keep it short, but yes, please.
Thank you, Chair Ellison, and I'll be brief. I do, I can support the conditions on this permit, but one of the most compelling things I heard is that every other high school in our city has the ability to have lights. And so it seems like we would be really granting this community a very special benefit that is not available to other communities, and it would limit the young people's opportunities for athletic engagement. So, but if the compromise is a conditional or conditions, then I'm willing to support that.
Thank you. Councilmember Cashman?
Thank you, Chair. Could the author of the motions or the attorneys kind of help me clarify what the first motion with regards to like rental for only, so only using the lights for school events, what that would restrict? Because I'm not sure what kinds of rentals are actually on the table for the applicant.
I can take a crack at it, Councilmember Cashman, through the chair. So Minnehaha Academy is proposing 30 days of rental use, and that looks like soccer clubs. That's one thing that they have cited, and they've also shared that those would likely not take place at a time where lighting would be required, specifically in the summertime for those types of soccer camps in the summer. So that's my understanding. If the city attorney has any additional things to say on that, I welcome him through the chair.
Madam, or Mr. Chair, I don't have any additional comments. I think it's just speaks to a motion restricting the uses to school sanctioned events and not commercial rentals.
Thank you. So I'm understanding that there's not many nights that the school grounds are being rented out to other facilities. So for soccer clubs, it's mostly daytime. I'm happy to support these motions. I know you're on the Planning Commission and that you've had a lengthy discussion and that you are, working with your community. So I think, despite having more questions about this, I think we can move forward with these motions.
Thank you. Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you. I look forward to voting on this very quickly, and I want to explain my vote. I'm going to vote no because I don't think Minnehaha Academy should be treated differently than any other high school in the city of Minneapolis.
All right, then we have the first motion from Councilmember Chowdhury, which is regarding the rentals, third-party rentals. And can we call the roll on that?
Councilmember Rainville.
No.
Cashman.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Chowdhury.
Aye.
Vice Chair, or Chair Ellison.
No.
There are 3 ayes and 2 nays.
And that is approved. And then next we have the motion regarding the curfew. Maybe that's not the right term. Time limit curfew. And I will ask the clerk to call the roll on that motion as well.
Councilmember Rainville.
No.
Cashman.
Aye.
Jenkins.
Aye.
Chowdhury.
Aye.
Chair Ellison.
Aye.
There are 4 ayes and 1 nay.
And that motion is approved as well. And so, and do we have to approve the underlying conditions as changed? And so I guess
Yes.
we will vote, hold on, page is off. Please.
Haven't heard a motion on the appeal itself. Yeah. And so we also have, there's a condition of approval on the conditional use permit application related to lights being turned off by 10:15. So just to confirm for the record, is the intent to replace that with the
believe that-
condition of approval for the 9:30?
I believe that's the intent.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. And then, and yeah, the motion before us, I mean, unless I'm just really reading this wrong, it is about the pole height, which I think we intend to deny that appeal so that the pole's height can remain at 70 and 80, right? And then, but the conditions of approval are resolved.
Mr. Chair, I think the motion might be to deny the appeal but to accept the amendments to the approval of the land use application that is before you.
All right, then we will deny the appeal and accept the amendments to the, yes, we will deny the appeal, accept the amendments. I'll go ahead and make that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Great. And I think that we have successfully, maybe successfully, dispensed with that item. So, on to our last item, and we are, boy, are we on a time crunch. We have to be out of here by 4:30 sharp. There are noticed, and so I will ask staff to, Ms. Silas, to give the presentation, and we will do what we can.
Sounds good. All right. Good afternoon, Chair Ellison, council members. My name is Lindsay Silas. I'm a senior planner with Land Use Design and Preservation. I am presenting an appeal of a project at 2941 26th Avenue South. This is a proposed Chase Bank located on located on 26th Avenue South, just north of Lake Street. This is currently a vacant site occupied by a surface parking lot where the applicant has proposed to construct a one-story commercial building containing 3,800 square feet of gross floor area to be used as a Chase Bank. The proposal also includes a surface parking lot of 14 spaces behind the building. This proposal required 5 land use applications that were all denied by the City Council at their meeting on June 10th. Those applications included a variance to reduce the minimum floor area ratio in the Transit 20 Built Form Overlay District from 2.0 to 0.235, variance to reduce the minimum height from 6 stories to 1 story, a variance to increase the maximum allowed parking from 8 spaces to 14 spaces, a variance to increase the number of freestanding signs on the site from 1 to 2, and to allow 2 wall signs on non-primary building walls, and site plan review. Staff recommended denial of all applications, and Planning Commission upheld staff recommendation. The appeal was filed on behalf of Chase Bank regarding the Planning Commission's decision to deny. So because we are tight for time here, I'll be quick with going through the plans. This is an existing survey of the site showing the surface parking that exists. This is the proposed building, so you can see that it's a fairly small footprint on the site, and they're proposing a large surface parking lot to the rear. A floor plan just showing the layout of the bank. It's essentially one story. Here's a signage plan, which you don't have to go into too much, except that there is an existing freestanding sign on the site, and the applicant had requested to add an additional freestanding sign, as well as have wall signage on all 4 building walls, even though they are only allowed to have wall signage on the primary building walls, ones that either face the street or parking lot. And here are the exterior elevations of the building, just demonstrating that this is a pretty typical one-story bank building that you might see in other communities as well. So as far as findings go, this is a Transit 20 built form overlay district. This is a part of the city where the comprehensive plan guides for significantly increased density, especially when compared to the built form that's there today. The site has a minimum of a 2.0 FAR, and the proposed is 0.235. The site has a minimum height of 6 stories, and the proposed is 1 story. There are some unique particularities on the site. The front of the site is angled, and there is a 10-foot wide electrical easement on the south side of the site. But even if we exclude those portions, it's still a over 12,000 square foot flat rectangular site. And the Planning Commission and City Council have approved many applications for projects in the past few years that have met a 2.0 FAR on similar size sites. So staff found that there is no unique circumstance resulting in the variance request for those items, and that the proposal is significantly different from what the Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Code call for in this area. This area of the city is designated for high-density commercial uses to take advantage of the excellent access to transit, commercial transit jobs, goods and services, so many amenities in this area. That is why this area was given the Transit 20 district in the first place. As far as the maximum parking variance, the maximum parking in the Transit 20 built form overlay district is 1 space per 500 square feet of gross floor area. The applicant's proposal to construct a smaller building is what is resulting in the limited number of surface parking spaces allowed. For example, if the applicant was meeting the minimum FAR, they would be allowed 66 parking spaces. So it's really the decision to provide less floor space in the building that's resulting in the need for a parking variance. So staff found that there's no unique challenges to that, and that it was not a reasonable request given that the proposed building size was driving the variance request. Same for signage. There's an existing sign on a site that's owned by the same owner who owns this site and surrounding sites. There are a couple of options. They could relocate that site to one of the existing properties nearby. They could add the signage for Chase Bank onto that existing signage. They're also allowed a large quantity of wall signs on those primary building walls. So staff also was recommending denial of the signage variance. And so staff recommends denial of the appeal and upholding the Planning Commission's actions and staff recommendation. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to stand for questions.
Do we have any immediate questions for staff? All right, looks like we do not. Thank you so much. I'm going to give a little bit of context, and then I'm gonna propose something here. We have 12 minutes before we have to just end this meeting. No questions about it. We have 12 minutes before we have to just end this meeting. I am going to open the public hearing because I have to, because this was also noticed. But we will not have the bandwidth to take up this item if there are a significant number of people who want to speak on it. And so we are going to have to, I guess I'm offering that to say I'm going to start this process, but we've got 11 and a half minutes, and if it's going on, I will have to continue this item. Councilmember Chowdhury.
Chair, I was literally going to ask, are we able to continue this to next cycle if necessary with the public hearing open?
I do have to open it, but I'll defer to the attorneys.
Mr. Chair, my only question would be, and I believe looking at the staff report that there's been a 120-day extension or an extension to the 120 days on the 60-day limit that puts us to the end of August. Is that correct? It is. So I think there would be a time enough to delay it a cycle.
One cycle.
Yes, but as you said, after opening the public hearing.
Got it. So this is the time where usually I would invite the appellant to speak for 10 minutes. But if you speak for 10 minutes, we're going to run into some issues. So I will invite the appellant up to speak. If you want to give us maybe just 2 minutes would be great, and then we can continue this to the next cycle, where you'll be given where you could be given more time to speak and testifiers could come before you.
Yeah, my name is Chris Lobbs. I'm the applicant. I work for LSC Architects, which is headquartered in Ward 5. We actually are requesting, and we had reached out to Chair Osmond to have a continuance of 2 cycles, moving to the August 6th meeting. This is because we just need more time to speak to the councilmen in the area. And then we would voluntarily move to have the decision timeline move to September 30th, if that would be acceptable.
I'm going to defer to the city attorney here to give us a little bit of counsel.
Mr. Chair and committee members, it sounds like there is time to delay it 2 cycles, but I want to be clear that this is an open pending quasi-judicial matter, and if the purpose is to discuss it with the ward council member, that's not going to be appropriate.
Noted. Is that understood?
Yep, that is understood.
All right. So with that, I'm inclined to see if you'd be willing to sit down, and then I'd open the public hearing and then just continue it. Do we have to take testimony if folks want to come up right now?
Mr. Chair, I think what you can do is ask anyone to come up to make brief testimony, let them know that there are other avenues they can submit their testimony, and they can certainly appear at the next public hearing and give testimony as well, but to ask people to try to be as quick as possible if they're unable to do such.
Got it. Thank you. Because we're on this time crunch, I am going to go ahead and open the public hearing. I hope folks have taken note of the time situation that we're in. I do have to allow you to come up to speak because this was publicly noticed, but I also want to say I'm going to continue this hearing to the next cycle so that you'll still have an opportunity to speak at the July 23rd.
July 23rd meeting.
At the July 23rd meeting, where you'll be given potentially 2 minutes to speak instead of 10 seconds. And that I think that that's a better idea than trying to cram as many people in as we can here in the next 8 minutes. Is that doable to everyone?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion to continue this item to the July 23rd BIZ meeting. And again, sorry, these meetings can run long. These quasi-judicials get complicated, which is what happened with the 2 previous quasi-judicials. So I'm going to make that motion. I'm going to ask my colleagues, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your tag up. Councilmember Jenkins.
Thank you, Chair Ellison. Before we take this vote, and maybe I should clear this with the city attorney, but I just want to ask the applicants to please consider, I mean, we have a housing crisis in our city. We have access to business opportunities. If you would consider going higher with your project, potentially adding some housing, some office space, some retail space, that would be in line more with our goals for the cities to increase density, increase capacity, increase the overhead airspace use. One of the challenges with Lake Street all along was all of these one-story buildings. And this, the recent uprisings, the burning down of those buildings created an opportunity for us to increase density, and hopefully Chase Bank would consider something like that as well. that concludes my comment.
Thank you. And I would ask the appellant to duly note those comments and thank my colleague. On the motion to continue this item to the July 23rd Biz Committee, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. That item is forwarded, and we will see you all. Apologies for the time limit, but we will see you all on the 23rd. And seeing no business before the committee, we are adjourned. Thank you all.